Ready, aim, fire.
Welcome to Live with Sensei. I'm your host, Jay Haynes, for the Film Sensei YouTube channel. In the 16th episode of Season 2, I'm delighted to be hosting an informational question and answer session on video editing and compositing in HitFilm. While people are still trickling in as they get the notifications of the live stream, let me just say a few words. I do understand that right now a lot of people are maybe locked down, confined to quarters, so to speak. Also, a lot of people are now in a position where they have to create online video content from home as part of their job, their hobby, charity work, whatever. And maybe a lot of you have never worked with video editing applications or video in general. I know a lot of people have stated to me that they don't really need all the whiz-bang special effects. They just need to create basic, professional-looking videos that are simple and easy to make. And HitFilm really can do that for you. Also, I have a lot of people who have a simple and basic understanding of HitFilm, but nothing more than that. For those of you who maybe are shut in right now, possibly you're working on your own skills and improving your understanding of the HitFilm application. Maybe you have questions. The good news is we have answers. Let me introduce my guests. Today, I am first joined by Mike Miller with Triem Visual. Mike is a professional video editor and VFX compositor. Mike is also a professional who does all kinds of video work, from weddings to short films to commercials. Also incredible VFX shots. He is also acknowledged as one of the most knowledgeable HitFilm users in the world. Welcome, sir.
Good morning.
How are you?
God, how do I live up to an intro like that? No, I'm pretty good this morning, actually.
I stayed up all night typing that up.
I had the cereal and all that fun stuff.
It's great to have you, sir. I appreciate you being here.
Yeah, good times.
All right. Also, I am joined by Javert who works for FXhome, the makers of HitFilm. Javert is one of the major contributors to the HitFilm tutorials that are put out every week by FXhome. He is somebody who has been working with HitFilm literally ever since he was a kid. And Javert is also one of the most knowledgeable HitFilm users in the world. Welcome, sir.
Thanks for having me, Jay.
It is a pleasure. I am delighted that you're here to represent the company. And I do want to give a few shout outs. So if you would like to be recognized today, please leave a comment in the chat room so that I can recognize you. Also, if you have any questions about HitFilm, please ask away. Now is your chance. I do want to let everybody know, especially if you're new to my channel, that I actually do have a complete course on how to use HitFilm on Udemy. This is the most comprehensive and super easy to follow course that you'll ever find. It has 72 easy to watch lessons providing over 3.5 hours of content. It is not expensive at all. It's very, very reasonably priced, and you can get the best possible price on my website, which is jhaynes.com. And my website looks like, oh, no, doesn't look like that. Looks like, how about, looks like that. Whoop, maybe it doesn't look like that. How about like that? There's my website. That's the one. There it is. And what I'm going to do is post that in the chat room right now. And also, I will. It's already in the link in the description. So if you, are watching this after the fact, go check it out. jhaynes.com. So Mike and Javert. I recently saw a study that shows that 82% of all people learning online would rather learn from a video than a blog post. And I know, Mike, you said, man, I'd rather just read it, But I personally am one of those guys that prefer to learn from a video. And so what I would like to do is just give you a little bit of an opportunity to maybe talk a little bit about our current world situation and how online interaction, especially using video, may be the best way to continue staying connected and getting work done and communicating with people that you would not otherwise be able to communicate with. Mike, I'll let you talk first.
Throw me right into the hot seat. Boy, communications in the world. Hi, we got a webcam. Not a topic I was really thinking about, Jay.
I sprung it on you.
Put a loop on that one, yeah. I don't have too much on that. I think the current situation, I think, is just going to give a little bit more of a kickstart to a bit of a transition that's already been happening. So, right, we've got, I've got this webcam sitting on top of my laptop, and we're streaming and we're chatting live. But we've been able to do that since the 90s, right? I've had webcams since the 90s. We've had, chat programs and social media programs for that long, but they've always, I think, kind of been a side thing a little bit more, and it's always been more that delayed action thing, something like a Twitter or a Facebook or MySpace. We'll date myself on that one.
Oh man!
But it's the post and the thing, and somebody comes along hours later and sees it. So it's just, this is being more of a kickstart and pushing us more into more real-time interaction. I think it's Zoom is that's the video conferencing app that's been like taking off in the last couple weeks.
That's right.
But I don't think it's necessarily a seismic shift. I think it's just an extension of where we've already been going. Sure. And this is just going to speed things up a bit because we kind of have to stay home now.
Yeah. Well, and I can tell you that my wife is a college professor. She teaches nurses. She is extremely valuable right now. But she is now doing all online training, teaching for her university. But they already had online classwork and things like that. But interestingly, they said, hey, we want pre-recorded lectures so that the students can tune in and watch them at any time, right? So I'm helping her build and edit all of her pre-recorded lectures that are going to happen for the rest of the semester, but not live, no live streaming. The only live that she's allowed to do is office hours, live office hours online, and she's doing it through, I think it's through WebMX is what it is. So, Javert, what do you think of the current situation?
Yeah, so for us, Tom put out a video on Instagram a couple days ago, but basically we're trying to keep things as normal. We've all taken our work computers home, and we're all trying to just continue making content. We've got a few things in the backlog, but we're just trying to make it feel like nothing has changed too much in terms of like, we're not going to stop making YouTube videos, and we're not going to stop making social content, so that people, even if they're staying home, can feel that, like, still feel connected. With what Mike said, we're also looking at live streaming as well, because it is a way to feel like you're hanging out with someone, even if you're in, across the country or two different places. So we're looking at that to
across an ocean.
Or across the pond.
Yeah.
That's right. Mike, you're in California. I'm in on the East Coast in Virginia of the United States, and Javert, you are in England. So we are way far apart. Mike has just got done eating breakfast, and Javert just got done eating dinner. And I had lunch about an hour ago. So there it is. Let's give a few shout outs, shall we? Let's see here. Terry's in the house. Better start working on Souther Shoddy's new course and start watching the stream. Great to have you, sir. And Bill is in the house. He is asking if HitFilm is totally free, because Bill wouldn't know anything about that. Bill is a smart aleck, is what he is. So he knows the answer to that. He's just playing around. But he does say the like button is your friend. So there is that. We would appreciate it. Tony is in the house. He also has a question here, and maybe we'll start with that one. But let me give a few more shout outs first. It's great to have you, Tony. Dafter Things. Love your new series.
Yeah.
And we want to promote that. If you have not seen Tony's new tutorial series on how to do everything, and I mean it's like almost a master class on how to stop motion animation and making these wonderfully fabulous little films. He is in the middle of a series of videos that are showing everything. He's giving away all the great secrets. It's really
they've been on. Tony, we were literally talking about that just a couple minutes before the live stream started in the backstage.
Yeah. And this HitFilm University is here. That
guy stalking.
That guy is amazing, and not only that, but he passed his 5,000 subscriber mark recently. So congratulations, Mike, on that. That's great. Brian from Los Angeles, good to have you, sir.
Hi from Orange County.
Yep. Fair Films, good to have you too. Let's see. Slice Let's Play has a question. We'll come back to that one. Also, let's come back up here though. First of all, is HitFilm really totally free, Javert?
Yes, it is. HitFilm Express it can be completely free if
Yes,
you
it can.
slide the slider to 0. But yes.
Absolutely. So there is a free version that you can use, and it has over 50% of all of the effects that can be done in the pro version are in the free version. So not many companies you see give away over half their stuff for free, but FXhome does it, and it's great. If you would like to, you can pay your own price for certain sort of combo packs, right? And a portion of that money gets donated to various charities that FXhome picks, and it's really a sweet deal. So if you can spare $9 or $19, then I would highly suggest that you pick up some of those extra packs along the way as well. And Mike knows the answer, or Bill, knows the answer to this one too, but which is the better overall deal, HitFilm Express with the add-ons or HitFilm Pro?
Pro.
And Pro would absolutely be, because if you added up all the costs of the add-ons, it would cost more than Pro, and Pro actually has more than that. And one time we had almost like a formula. How many, add-ons are you going to buy before you start thinking, well, maybe I just get Pro? And I want to say it was about like $100 or something like that, right?
Yeah, 100, 150.
I think that the new packs maybe are throwing that, because the buying the pay what you want packs are way cheaper than buying the add-ons themselves, and so you want to start there for sure if you're gonna do that. So Dafter Things question is, what is the history of FXhome and HitFilm, and the first effects that were included, or the first effects that were coded? Would you know that, Javert?
Tony thinks you're Josh.
Yeah, I think Josh might have talked about that in the live stream that he was on with me and you earlier. But basically, his brother needed to make lightsaber videos, and there wasn't an easy way to do it. So Josh coded the software to do it. And that wasn't HitFilm, but that was the first software that FXhome made.
It was the first iteration. Yeah.
DV, no. Wait, brother? I thought he said friend.
Yeah.
It was his stepbrother.
Stepbrother or brother-in-law or something like that.
Yeah.
Well, that just makes it more important to make the lightsaber videos.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know what that's all about, because, man, I was doing the same thing. I was making those lightsaber videos, and it would take I worked on a video where we did the demo, went down to Georgia, lightsaber fighting version instead of fiddling, and it would take me 45 minutes to do 2 seconds of lightsaber video per lightsaber. So if I had 2 lightsabers, then it took an hour and a half to do 2 seconds of that, and that's a 3 minutes plus song, so it took me months in my free time to get that done. And now it would take probably, if I was to guess, I would guess it would take me less than 20 hours worth of total work to do it now in HitFilm. People just don't understand the pain that we had to go through back in the day to make that happen. It was It was just painful. It was just painful. So HitFilm has made so many things so much easier to do. So let me see. What was the other question? Terry says, I have followed Javert since 2014.
Me too, man.
Thank you.
I have too. All right. Here's the question. Will the 3D camera tracker be available as an add-on pack for Express?
No, not at the moment. It is a pro-only effect.
It is a pro-only effect. I remember when the discussion about it came out that there was a talk about it being an add-on at some point. But it is an effect that is, it's not FXhome's effect. It belongs to the Foundry.
Yeah.
So that's got to be a factor in terms of whether it becomes an add-on or not, right?
Yeah, especially with like that kind of third-party software, you'll notice that like the Mocha HitFilm isn't in the demo version of HitFilm Pro. It's because we have to pay the company every time we put it in the software.
Right.
So with those outside effects, a cost is a consideration.
Absolutely.
And I guess Foundry still has a $3,500 camera tracking solution, so they don't want to compete with themselves too much. So.
Yeah. Exactly. And it's a good one. And not only that, but the version that's in HitFilm is a good one also. I mean, it's, you know, it's definitely competition for sure. So good to have NDP Productions in the house. Let me see. Adapter Thing says, thank you. I thought it would be an easy filler between videos, but now I have an even higher respect for all you tutorial makers. I guess he's talking to the three of us, because some of us have actually done some tutorials, mostly.
Mostly him. Mostly him.
For sure. Let me see here. Javert, the Instagram posts for the spring sale are really cool. What inspired you guys at FXhome to create them?
Thank you.
Over to that Instagram.
Yeah, so Tom's did a
They are
spring
good.
sale wizard sort of thing where he appears out of the ground and he's like got flowers swirling around him and he's dressed as basically discount Gandalf. And mine was just a version where I'm standing there giving the sales message, and then it goes from winter to spring. So it goes from like snowing and cold background to spring and sun and all that.
Oh yeah, I see that.
Those ideas were just individual. I think Tom was doing. He was thinking of how can we use flower petals in the spring sale messaging, and he was like, I've seen a movie where they like swirl around and they reveal someone, and he didn't know where it was from, and I was like, that's from Ready Player One, when he completes the first race. So that's where he got his idea, and then mine was just the idea that that's what we're doing right now is transitioning from winter to spring, and I thought I could augment it with some visual effects to make it a bit more instant.
Yeah, that's great.
I'm watching them right now in the background.
Did you
That's a great jacket.
Yeah, you guys filmed those probably on a green screen before you left.
Tom filmed his at home. He was home already when but he has a pop-up green screen, and then I was in the office, to film that.
Right. Did you steal a green screen, take it home with you, Javert?
I did a pop-up, yeah. Actually, I have a reflector right here, bouncing that on this side of my face as well.
Perfect. Boy, you got it all set up. That's great.
I have a pop-up, and I should be putting it behind me.
There you go. A green screen. Yeah. Light swords were all I did in FX Lab, is what Tony says. So, and the pain. The pain was real, dude. It was real. CC Coder is in the house. Great to have you. I had to make a mask and shave off an eyebrow. You didn't see my most recent tutorial. It was about how to shave off your eyebrow, but not really shave off your eyebrow. Just VFX shave off your eyebrow. So if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. But HitFilm is what we're working on here. And this is what it looks like. This is the HitFilm Express 14. It is the dark version. And this is the editor look, right? You can come up to, what is it under? Windows, Workspaces, and then pick one of these, right? In this case, we are in the editing mode. So that way, when you pick a video, then you can play it. You can trim it. By using these little trimmers here, and then you can drag that and put it into the the timeline, and then you pick a different one and you can do the same thing, right? And then you have all these tools that are available for you to work with these to adjust them, slice them, move them around, slow them down, speed them up, all of that kind of stuff. On top of that, you have obviously multiple tracks. You can have as many as you want. You can always bring in things like lower thirds, where you can drop them right on there, so that way when you play that, you have, and then you can make adjustments to that super easily by just where is it, under controls, changing the name, right, to somebody else's name, right, that kind of a thing. And it's really that simple, to quickly and easily make super easy videos. And there are lots of video editors out there, and some of them are free. But I was looking, like, for example, DaVinci Resolve is out there, but I was looking at the minimum requirements for your computer for DaVinci Resolve. They're a lot higher than I thought they would be. You know, like 16 megabytes of RAM is the minimum, and I'm like, wow, that's what I have, you know. But for HitFilm, that's over the recommended. I think the recommended is 8 megabytes.
Yeah, it's tricky because like we want to make it like accessible for everyone with if they have a low end computer, but at the same time it's video editing and visual effects, so it's kind of like you're not doing word processing, you're doing difficult stuff, so it's trying to find a balance between being able to do it and also make it accessible for people.
Because I mean, VFX work is some of the most data intensive things you can do on a computer outside of hardcore simulation work. People don't think about it. One thing people don't think about with video too is NLEs are fairly brute force in the way that they work. So it'll come up on the forum a lot. Well, I can watch this video and it's smooth in my media player, but then it gets jerky in HitFilm. I'm like, well, the two things have nothing to do with each other because a playback just streams the frames and throws them away. And HitFilm or Vegas or Premiere or anything, it has to decompress everything. It has to take that frame, be able to hold it all. It's very... So if you think about, say, a 4K layer, every frame is 12 megapixels. So we're talking about, 12 million pixels, and then it's 4 bits per pixel, so 36, so 8 megabytes per frame. And then you do that 30 times a second, and you're looking at 200, you're looking at almost a quarter gig of data per second. And then you add an overlay on top of that, your second track, and now you're pushing a half a gig per second. And then you get 4 tracks going, and you're pushing a gig of data per second. And I just bring this up because you'll get things on the forum going, hey, I've got 4 or 5 layers of 4K video on my machine that doesn't have, that, has an integrated GPU, and why is it slowing down? Well, the reason is you're pushing a ridiculous...
That's true. That's true. And what is an NLE, just for those people who don't know?
Non-linear editor.
Non-linear editor, yeah. And so that's where you can drag, like I was doing, you can take things and drag them around and place them in different places.
Yeah.
And so I might take this clip and put it here, and you know what, let me move that up there and put this down here. This is all non-linear, right? So now everything is, I'm doing all this, in a way where I can just flip everything around and move things and that sort of deal without, having to like literally cut and splice pieces of film or
tape,
or imagine trying to re-record a tape in different, where you change the scenes over. You'd have to back up and and so on and so forth. This is as simple as dragging stuff and just dropping it into a line.
Oh, I started on tape-to-tape editing with computer-controlled decks, and I'll tell you, if you got to the end of your program and realized you had an error, a timing error back in the first minute of the tape, you weren't going to fix it.
Yeah.
Because there was not much you could do.
Right.
Or you could go down a generation, but dubbing tape to tape, you'd have the quality loss every time. So you were just not gonna do that.
Right. And
non-linear.
Yeah, and I will also add that I don't have any problems if I'm doing regular HD footage, right, on HitFilm. But it's only when I get into the 4K stuff that it starts really slowing down. But the beauty of HitFilm is that over here under the viewer window, you can choose playback quality settings and paused, and and then also resolutions and things like this. So this will help it to move a lot faster, especially if you're not adding any special effects. Because what it does is it starts pulling out special effects that are being used, and it changes the quality of the resolution if you're just looking to get the flow of the video while editing, and you're like me and you have 27 tracks of 4K footage, like Mike said was going to be a problem. So right. The other thing is if you can keep the minimum number of tracks going, then you're going to be in a lot better shape. So anything to add to that, Javert, before we throw a question up here?
No, I don't think so. You can technically add an unlimited number of video and audio tracks, but it's probably wouldn't recommend to push it.
Yeah, two or 3,000 is probably the max you should get to.
Yeah.
But it is nice, and I do know that Josh has talked about redoing this right here, the media bin, and how things are done here. But I like it. I can create a new folder and say I want to put all my videos in there, and then I grab those and I drop them in here, and now it's clean, right? If I want to add another folder, and that's my lower thirds, right? I can put all my lower thirds in there. And so it's not hard to work with HitFilm, certainly as a basic video editor. I think it's great. I know some people, I don't want to mention any names, who use other software to do his video editing. That'd be you.
I did it in Vegas. I admit it.
And you do it because that's what you're comfortable with.
I do. Vegas and I have gone back to version 1. I love HitFilm. I think HitFilm and Vegas is such a great combination. And HitFilm can do visual effects work in its sleep that Vegas can't even touch with hundreds of dollars of plugins. But Vegas, even among video editors, is unique in that it started out as an audio editor and then became a video editor in version 4. And it's something that one stupid thing that Vegas does that no other editor does. And I never expect HitFilm to do this because it would be a complete recode at their end on media handling. So I don't expect HitFilm to ever do this. But it's the simple fact that in any other software, if I take two pieces of media and I butt them up against each other, it's going to move that point. Or either nothing's going to happen or it's going to overwrite that section. And in Vegas, if I overlap two pieces of media, it automatically says this is a dissolve.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Right. Whether it's an audio or a video track. So literally all you do to add a crossfade in Vegas is overlap the media. And then if I need to adjust the length of the transition, I can just grab the handle on that piece, or I can grab the handle on that piece. And it's a simple single feature, but it really has just been that's kept me on Vegas for the last 20 years, because the bottom line is I can cut faster in Vegas than I can cut in anything else. And if you are a gigging freelancer and you're paid by the job, not by the hour, then it's all about the speed. Yeah,
faster you can go. Well, HitFilm can do obviously different transitions too. You come into the effects tab and you have a transitions folder. Here it is. You have different dissolve ones and motion and wipe and whatnot, and you can just grab and then just drop it.
HitFilm's editor is fully featured. You can completely cut in HitFilm.
Absolutely. Not that you necessarily would do a lot of dissolving kind of cuts. It's kind of not a common thing in most videos. But except in Star Wars, the white,
Right. Well, it's the audio editing, because if you have seen, I did a kind of a Star Wars-y parody thing, and I'll find the link and throw it in the comments in a minute. But the key thing about the edit was the audio edit. It was making all the audio cuts fit, because it was that 2-minute sequence that I cut down to 30 seconds. And what was going to make it flow was if the audio and the music and the sound effects were all going to flow seamlessly. Because if there were cuts in the music and hard jars, it just was going to be annoying.
Sure.
And
so it does
honestly,
Vegas
too, again, because it was a lot
interesting.
It would have been a lot harder to do that in HitFilm. I would have had to been jumping in between tracks. I would have had to be keyframing all the crossfades, because there are all these little 2 to 4 frame crossfades and going across to make the audio edit happen. And I mean, it could have been done in HitFilm, but it was easier to do in Vegas, and it also forced me to really be the first thing I did in Vegas effects, which is, Javert may correct me here, I may oversimplify this a bit, but Vegas Effect is effectively a custom build of HitFilm that can be bundled with Vegas Pro, and I think I remember the dev saying that the integration between Vegas Effect and Vegas Pro had been improved compared to HitFilm and Vegas Pro. but you know, you're basically working in another version of HitFilm. But it was the first time I'd done it because there's file names are different. You can move files between HitFilm and Vegas effects, but you have to go in and you have to start editing file extensions to make it happen. Did I get that right?
Yeah, as far as I know, because Vegas effects is mostly the dev stuff. Like we don't promote it since it's Vegas, so I haven't actually used it too much. But yeah, that's basically.
If you do, what's going to throw you is that HitFilm tabs are on the top and Vegas tabs are on the bottom, and that is really going to throw you for a couple of hours. Jay remembers I was talking about it last week. It's like I keep looking here and it's here, and it's just that one thing will drive you crazy for an hour. But that's the Vegas interface. So
yeah, and Vegas has the tabs on the bottom.
Yeah,
but if you're looking at the Vegas interface, then you're used to it being there. But
I'm used to HitFilm, the tabs being on the top.
Yeah, Vegas Post looks a lot like HitFilm. Is that the deal?
Yeah.
So because of that, you're just automatically in that interface. You're automatically looking high for the tabs. And
wait! Power tip:
these are
if you happen to have HitFilm, and if you happen to have Vegas effect, you can run them both at the same time. Because their file structure is different. You can't run two versions of HitFilm together or two instances because potential interference with is it the cache folders or is it the pre-render folders or is it both, Javert?
That'll be one for the devs. I'm just going to say.
That'll be one for the devs. Okay.
He just knows how to use the
right answer. Yeah.
Right. I'm just saying it's one of them. I'm just saying if you have Vegas effects and if you happen to have Vegas effects and HitFilm, you can run them both at the same time, and that's a way to get two instances of HitFilm going at one time if I wanted to be editing in one and rendering in the other for whatever reason. Just an annoying bit of trivia there.
So let's answer a few questions, shall we?
I suppose.
All right. Tony asks, will there ever be a way to see a full screen playback without an extra screen?
I actually put in a feature request for this a couple of weeks ago. If you ever used After Effects or Premiere, if you hit the tilde key, which is above the tab key, it will make any panel that you're in full screen, and it works in the viewer as well. So I put in a request for that basically, and I think it might have been Nick who it was assigned to. So it's in the feature log. So yes, probably we will eventually see it at some point.
Yeah, and of course you can make this thing really big, or as big as you want it to be, but it's not possible to like float it out and make it full, right?
No, not at the moment.
I don't think so. Didn't it used to be? Seems like it used to be. Maybe I'm wrong on that. I don't know. But like anything else, you can float the panel and then make it full screen kind of a thing, right? And then you can just put it right back in, wherever you want it to be. It's very, very flexible in terms of how to create your workspace, and that's what I love about it. And I have a workspace that I love, and you can actually save your own workspaces and go back to them whenever you want, and that's what I've done. And it's funny because when a new version of HitFilm comes out, sometimes they tweak those a little bit, and I just go in and rebuild my old workspace. It's the one I've been using since HitFilm 2.
Yeah, I have several workspaces, one for color grading, one for scopes, one for my defaults, and I've customized it.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And that's the beauty of it. You can build your own, your own interface.
Jay, there's a thing in the options menu where you can save your window layout with your project. So all I need to do if I upgrade a HitFilm is I just load up an old project and then resave the workspace since the workspace is
right. There you go. All right, MVP.
Or I dig into my hard drive and I go find the file and I move it.
There you go. You could do it that way too. Is there going to be any more community-made tutorials that get posted on the FXhome YouTube channel?
Yeah, so Ollie's actually in charge of that right now. We have one from Jamie from Film Empire. He did it on stabilizing. So that's going up in the next few weeks. So yes.
Great. He was telling me about that. He was very excited to be doing it.
Yeah, that's good.
I had him on the show a few weeks ago. So let me see.
Go ahead. For the gang at FXhome, since I've done a bunch of community tutorials. I can say that doing a community tutorial is a lot more work at the end, because if Javert, in most cases, if Javert, Tom, Ollie, if they're doing a tutorial, they can just walk down the office, talk to each other. Kirsty's right next, Josh is right by. You bring everybody in, you do your meeting, you get your approval, you're good to go. If you're doing a community tutorial, you got to do a lot of back and forth on email.
Well,
it's
now
right.
they can't walk down the office anymore.
That's true, but they've got their live stream, whatever. But it does add a lot more work because you got to go back and forth.
Yeah. They're going to feel more of your pain now, Mike.
FXhome wants more FXhome people on the air, so to speak, and that's for brand identification.
Sure.
So if Zach Allen does his Thor hammer effect, it's not going to be Zach Allen's footage. It's going to be, they're going to reshoot with Ollie. So now you got to go back and forth on that. If I'm doing the Sandman effect, it's not my footage. It wasn't my test footage of me. It was Javert. So it really does for the community tutorials. I think it is a lot more work for Kirsty and Ollie, and I think that's why the channel's done. They cut back on community tutorials at the same point at which you guys went to 2 tutorials a week, and I think it was just a time management thing, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it is a lot of back and forth, especially if and sometimes a community contributor can screw up. So Javert a couple of years ago did a sniper scope tutorial, and his sniper scope tutorial was in fact a replacement for mine because I started that one. And what I was doing, and I had different, and I was doing completely different methods, but what I was doing, it just wasn't, whatever happened at the office, and they decided that my approach wasn't working, and they turned around and they handed that to Javert, and he whipped that out in a week and knocked it out of the park. Yeah. And I think it was just a lot faster and easier for Javert to step in and take that one over than it would to keep going back and forth with me.
Right.
And you can run into content things. Sometimes I did one tutorial where Kirsty was my contact and she was out of the office, so I had some questions and I couldn't get a hold of her, so I had to make a content decision on my own, but it meant that the final tutorial varied off of the brief that I had agreed upon with the office, and there was kind of a you changed the thing halfway through, but we got to go with it because that's what we got this week.
Right.
So
see how you turned out.
You know, when I do something right, I will credit myself, but I will, you know, if I do, I'm just saying it's, you know, to do the tutorial and the community tutorial. I love community tutorials. I love when, you know, Tony C or Zach or, you know, somebody else gets to do something because they're great. But you know, I mean, it was a great question from Nathan, and it was just noting that there is a lot of extra work that has to be done, and it has to be done at their end, and that there can be problems.
Yeah.
You know, Javert never screws up. That's just me.
No, it's Javert. Javert hasn't yet to do anything wrong. Tony says, I would welcome a tutorial which uses the performance improving techniques and shows them in action. Have you guys done something like that? Because I know I have something like that in my Udemy course, but I assume he's talking about like, you know, the talking about these options over here for playback quality and things like that to make it
so yeah, like performance, like speed of the editing and stuff.
Right. That's what I think he's talking about.
We haven't done any, no, but that's kind of because you guys have, like Mike has his on his
he does
like codecs and transcoding and all that. So we usually just point to that. So they do exist, but we haven't done them ourselves.
Right.
And then I actually planned out a tutorial that was everything you could do to speed up HitFilm and improve your HitFilm workflow, and then I never made it but I am here. This is a good one for the forum. I checked that with the devs at the time, and then when I went back to revise that script, I realized I got to cross out half the script because the devs have changed or improved things in that area, just in general. So yeah, just noting that HitFilm's performance continues to improve.
It does. It really does. Nathan says, I do everything in HitFilm. Well, not everything. But I do edit my tutorials, create my Instagram posts. I create video thumbnails, VFX shots, edit home projects. I love HitFilm. You could use that as a direct quote right there, Javert. Bring that right into the office.
Yeah, technically we have to ask for permission. So if we can use that, that's awesome.
And I do too. I literally build everything in HitFilm. I edit all my videos. All my tutorials. I do all the effects. I create the video thumbnails in HitFilm. The only downside to that is you export it as a PNG and it ends up being too big for YouTube. YouTube doesn't like the size of that. So I use I use Paint and save it. I just load it and save it as a JPEG and then it's my thumbnail. You know, it's a 10-second job. So there you go, Mike, that one's for you.
We had that discussion before the stream too. I was just like, somebody shut up.
we did.
Poor Javert. The last time he's on with Josh, who's a talker, and now he's on with me, and I'm a talker, and Javert just sits there looking handsome.
Yeah, he's the eye candy. Here's a question: will things like grade layers in the editor or multiple editor timelines be added to HitFilm? That's a good question. Can't really necessarily answer that. But
yeah, we have feature logs for both of them, so they both exist in the system. I'm not sure of the technical reason for grade layers in the editor, why that would be difficult, but I know that multiple editor timelines is definitely one of the things that would require a rework, because I think it was Danny who said that the viewer has only ever been designed to show one timeline. So to add in multiple ones would require a rework of how it is. So not saying no, but it would take a lot of work.
Yeah.
Whatever the tech is on making grade layers in the editor, it's got to be more complicated than we're thinking, because it's just got to be. Whatever we at home are thinking, it's not easy, or it would have been done already.
I would like to see it. It would be very useful for me. I would like it, but it's in there. We know about it.
Here's a complete and JC Barnhill, welcome to the live stream. Glad to have you. Complete HitFilm and all editing software noob here. Any tutorial recommendation for course creators?
Jay's got an Udemy.
I do. I have an Udemy course, and let me just post. jhaynes.com is where it's at. You can go there and get the best possible price. It is very inexpensive. It is 72 lessons, and it's over 3.5 hours worth of content. And basically, I take you through everything, all of it, right? I literally based my course on the manual, right? So my thought was, like the Haynes manuals, which are named after me, of course. What they do is they literally base their manuals on a complete teardown and rebuild of an automobile, right? So they take a bit and they tear it all the way down. So I said, well, I'm just going to do that. I'm going to tear down and rebuild the entire FXhome user manual, which I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure was written by Axel himself. And for a while, it was actually very funny, because for a while it was like daily I would email Axel and say, hey, the manual says this, but I think it's that. He goes, oh, I think the devs fixed that, and I didn't realize they had fixed that, or something like that, oh, I didn't know that was still in there, and finally he says, are you reading the manual from like cover to cover? And I'm like, yeah, I am, because I'm building this course, and so I want to cover everything, I
used to do the same thing with the effects. That's how I learned all the effects in HitFilm. Basically, I would just go through the effects panel and I would ask myself, do I know what this does?
Yeah.
And if not, I would look it up in the manual, because it is very thorough and it explains like every setting and every parameter.
It totally is incredibly thorough. And mine is my entire course is based on the manual, right? I cover every last little thing. And I've broken it down so it's like, here's the the editing part, here's the VFX part. And I have people who say, I just need it for the editing part. And that's great, just for the editing part. But then people come back to me and say, I was going to only do the editing part, but then I thought, well, I might as well watch maybe the first video of the VFX part, the compositing part. Maybe I'll watch another one, and maybe I'll watch another one. Pretty soon they've watched the whole thing, and they're like, man, this was great, So CC Coder says, my HitFilm, the Udemy course was very useful, and I'm glad to hear that. That is fantastic.
And I got to throw it into the chat. There's a link. Obviously, I got to plug myself.
Yes, HitFilm University.
Yeah.
Absolutely. The fabulous reference. And
Getting out of date.
It is getting out of date because HitFilm is improving, and it continues to improve, and that's the beauty of it. That's the good news. The bad news is, of course, it's making your courses further and further out of date, right? When HitFilm version 14 came out, I already built into my Udemy course that every time a new version of HitFilm Express comes out, I add more to the course, covering all the new things that are in there. But it's a little bit strange because, you kind of have to go to the end to see what is new before you want to start at the beginning. So it's a little bit squirrely, but people figure it out.
When I relaunch and start doing tutorials again, the YouTube channel is going to become, strangely enough, it's going to be a pointer to my Vimeo channel, because Vimeo lets you upload updated versions of a video without having to re-upload and lose your view count. And what that'll mean is, right now I've got my interface tutorial, which is out of date. And if I do a new one, I don't want to delete the old one because that's part of my view count. That's part of, Google owes me money. But if I put that up on Vimeo and I put up an interface tutorial based on HitFilm 14, and then you guys, Javert, you guys add some swanky new feature to the interface or change the look of it, I can just re-upload that to Vimeo, and the Vimeo will always stay current, and the YouTube will just be, it is what it is.
Right.
So
that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And I might also add that HitFilm University has playlists from all over YouTube. And Mike keeps that very current. So every tutorial that has ever been made about HitFilm is somewhere.
Everything I can find.
Playlists. Yeah. It is funny because sometimes I'll find something that you haven't seen and I'll send it to you.
You sent me Choo Choo Reel 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. And the next thing you know, he's got a whole playlist of all of that guy's stuff now,
Tony's got one. Dafter Things. Dafter Things. You now have a playlist on HitFilm University.
How exciting!
And so does Nathan at MDP Productions.
Yep, you guys know you've reached the big time when you have a playlist on HitFilm.
And of course all of Javert's old stuff from Inkscape Digital and
all the way back to the beginning. And there's a lot of information there as just on the basic editor and things like that too. So definitely use that. Bazio, good to have you. And Bill's now asking Javert, how you doing? Boom. How you doing, Javert?
Yeah, I'm good. This past week was the first week working from home, so that was a bit of an experience. So the dream job has been taken home for now, but it's good. Yeah, we've got all our work computers and stuff, so I've got all the equipment that I need. We keep in touch through chat and video chat and all that. So it's going well.
Yes, you got the kitty cat there. There's the kitty. Is that Fuzz?
It is the Fuzz.
Ah, yeah. And Tony says, I would definitely suggest starting with the Udemy course as well. And Tony has not only has he purchased the course, but he also has gone through the entire thing. And I know because I can look at the stats of how far people have gone through the course and stuff. And he's one of the people that have looked at all. So, and Greg also recommends the Udemy course. Thanks, guys. I appreciate that. Hey, the Solo Samurai is in the house. Woohoo! From Australia.
Hey,
good to see you, Chris. Thanks, Javert, for the Smoke FX file last week.
No problem. Happy to help.
Hopefully, you've already used that, or you're getting ready to use that. I don't know if I've seen anything with a Smoke.
Don't go
FX
that way.
File yet. I'm not sure. Let me see. Hey, here's a question from Bazio. Do you ever find it hard competing with other large name editors?
That's kind of one of the things that comes up every once in a while, where it's like people ask, what movies have HitFilm been used in? That's like the big question. And it's like that's not exactly our audience. We're not trying to like replace Nuke or replace Maya as the industry standard or something. So we want to obviously get more and more users, and we're actually about to hit 5 million.
Yeah, 5 million registered users.
Yeah. So obviously we want to get the audience, but in terms of like trying to knock people out of their place or try and overtake others as the biggest editor in the world, I wouldn't say is our goal. It's more just making filmmaking and visual effects accessible to as many people as possible.
Yeah, I agree. But I have seen where HitFilm is used for, especially for pre-visualization kinds of things, you know. I believe it was used recently in Call of the Wild, where and I saw an article where they were showing how they were using HitFilm to quickly, cut some ideas together for the VFX artists, like when he's dragging the dog. I don't know if you guys have seen it. No, he's dragging the dog through the house, and they use HitFilm to cut that. You know, the editor or the visual effects artist use HitFilm to kind of cut that together and put a very basic VFX shot on, and then show it to the filmmaker, and he goes, "Yeah, that's perfect. You know, let's do it." And then he used Nuke or whatever, was their software that they use in house to actually create the real shot. But so yeah, it's a tool in the box that you use, and every tool is valuable in the so including HitFilm. If it's being used in any way, it's still being used.
And so of course, FXhome was smart and the Ignite plugin, so you can get FXhome plugins for After Effects, Premiere, Resolve, Vegas, etc., etc., etc. I think I seem to remember Kirsty saying like the muzzle flash from Ignite got used a lot in I think it was Hot Tub Time Machine.
Mm-hmm. Might have been Hangover Part 2, I think it was.
Hangover Part 2, that was it. So so the muzzle flash I think from Ignite gets used a lot because that muzzle flash plugin is great. I don't think nobody else has anything like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Chris says HitFilm is now my only tool for vids, also editing VFX, thumbnails, but it would be nice to export JPEG also. And I don't know how hard that would be, but throw that on the wish list, my friend. Okay. What do you think? So let me see. Audio plugins.
Make Ben do that over a lunch break.
There you go. Yeah, probably. Audio plugins would be a nice addition. Ability to add more VFX plugins would be great too, says Chris.
So VFX plugins, Chris, you mean like third-party things?
I would think that's what he means,
right? Because there's a bunch from New Blue, from Red Giant. Some of the revision stuff will work in HitFilm, like Twixtor. Javert, this might be a question for the devs or for marketing as well. But I guess this transitions into ability to add more VFX plugins. So do you know if anything's going on with more? Have you talked to any more of the After Effects guys about converting any more of the After Effects plugins, more of the Andrew Kramer stuff? Do you know if anything's being done with maybe Red Giant to bring in other Red Giant plugins besides Universe? Anything about particular Mirror or anything like that?
At the moment, so the After Effects plugins were added in 14 and Pro only at the moment. We do want to add more. At the moment, I don't know if there are any being worked on for 15. Anything, because I don't think any are being worked on at the moment. As far as other plugins and stuff, I think that's both development and like operations to actually talk to the companies and pay them or pay us to include their plugins and be able to include their plugins in the software. So if you guys do have specific ones that you want to know or see in HitFilm, let us know, because then we can look into it.
Can everybody write Boris effects? I would really love for Boris Continuum to officially run in HitFilm. I would upgrade my Boris Continuum if they made it HitFilm compatible.
Nice. Yeah. Let's see. Bill says Axel lives just up the road from me. How about that? But since I let him know this, he's no longer speaking to me. I might not speak to you either. Just kidding, Bill. Just kidding. Just kidding. Bill was actually near me visiting family. He was within 100 miles of me. but we didn't quite make a connection to get together and see each other. He was really totally family, so there you go. And this is a good little tip from Chris, and that is your thumbnail go to 720, which, I mean, it's a thumbnail. It's very small, so why not size it down and then export it, and that is a good tip. Save you one step with Microsoft Paint. I'm gonna have to try that. That's a good idea. Here you go. This explains why I'm so remedial in HitFilm. I've never looked at the manual. Actually, you should look at the manual. Anytime you use something, go read the manual notes on it, because it takes a second. And you'd be amazed at how much you go, oh man, I didn't know that. Oh, I didn't know that either. That's really cool. That kind of thing. So, wouldn't you agree, Javert? I mean, like you said, you read the manual.
I did, yeah. It's super helpful resource, and it goes into some things that may not necessarily be covered in tutorials, because sometimes I'll use like a caustics effect or a lens flare, and I don't have time to go into every single parameter and every setting, but the manual does a good job for a majority of the settings in the software. Is
there a section on all the VFX? Yes. There is. Every last little thing that is in HitFilm is detailed out in the manual. Mike tends to deliver a very. He covers it all. He covers it all.
Explicit, and I just want to drop a swear word as bad joke.
I'll give you. This is a family friendly. Yeah. It's explicit, all right. Let me see here. I'm looking through these here. Terry.
The top of my Twitter feed is Javert plugging the live stream.
There you go. Oh, thanks, Javert. Yeah. Spider Hank in the house. Frank, good to see you. And Mermaid Clover also in the house. Good to see you, ma'am. Thanks for being
Frank.
here.
Hi, Courtney.
After Things asked, Javert's rolling smoke preset is one of my go-to effects. And mine also. When was that created? Did you create that, or was that submitted to the preset marketplace?
Rolling smoke. I think, that was preset marketplace. So that would have been
the one that floats sideways. The smoke rolls sideways.
Yeah. So that was when I was in college. So that was maybe 2-3 years ago. Mm-hmm. It is hopefully quite useful, because it is just something you don't want to have to set up every single time.
Oh, it's fantastic. Was it yours?
Yeah.
Oh, beautiful. I mean, it is gorgeous. It really is gorgeous. And it's something that I pull out because it kind of rolls sideways. Yeah. But then I will, I will make some tweaks to it, and now it's coming up, or it's dropping down, or it's, so it's so easy to change. And then people don't even realize that it was originally that effect, because
that's the goal, is just to get that initial setup out of the way, because I don't want to have to set the size and the shape and the trajectory every single time. And if I can take those steps out, and you can just make it rain down if you want it.
Right. And for people who don't know what we're talking about, the Javert setup when he was in college, what he called the preset marketplace, and HitFilm has presets that you can import, right? You import, or no, actually, where are the presets? What do you do? It's in here, isn't it? Yeah. Where you import them and put them here in here, or like here, for example, or you can, you can bring in full composite shots or things like that that have it in there. And what they are is basically set up in advance kinds of effects and things like that either go into the effects tab, or you can bring them into your media bin and use them. And so Javert had a set of presets that he created and already built composite shots of different effects and things like that. And then he started asking people, hey, do you anybody want to contribute to this? And he created an entire preset marketplace, right? And it was fabulous. And then what happened, Javert?
Then I ran out of bandwidth.
It was that fabulous.
Site, and
everybody wanted to have those presets because they were really that amazing. And so you can still get them. Yes.
Yeah, they the website, the gallery itself, the thumbnails and everything, that plugin actually just broke. It wasn't necessarily the bandwidth; it just stopped working. So the gallery where you preview the stuff isn't there, which is unfortunate. But the Google Drive folder that I stored all the presets in is still there, and they have their names. So that's inkscapedigital.com.
And I just put that link in the chat.
Perfect. Yeah. So inkscapedigital.com/presets is the link. You go there and just download them all and just bring them into HitFilm and play with them. They are really something. And there's even some from me. I had contributed a handful of different things.
I think I got a few up there too.
You might have one or two.
Yeah, I got a couple.
Possibly.
Andy, hey, Chris George, if you haven't downloaded that one yet, on the preset marketplace is the Atomic Smoke, and we were talking about that one on Twitter a couple days ago when you were thinking of a smoke particle thing for Chicago cones. So, yeah.
Andy, great to have you, sir. And Chris says, I have convinced at least 5 friends now to either switch to HitFilm or just use that for their video work. And I have at least 5 friends. Maybe 5 friends this week. Because, like I said, I have had an avalanche of people asking me about, how do you do all that video stuff? Because I really need to know now that I'm stuck at home, And I've also had a bunch of people who are at home and are like, man, now's my chance to really learn this application. So, yeah, let me see here. Oh, Robustwell is in the house. Are there any plans to add expressions like wiggle, etc. to HitFilm? That's a good question.
At the moment, no, because it is quite a big job to give you guys the ability to link any setting you want to anything else. We know that it's a good way to customize and link things together and have different parameters, change other parameters, but it's quite a big undertaking to be able to link all that stuff together. So at the moment, no, but it's something that we look at because we know it can be very powerful.
There are HitFilm ways of doing things very similar to expressions. You can do a lot of automated stuff using behaviors, of course. Sometimes HitFilm has an effect for it, and I'm kind of grinning here because at the bottom, expressions like wiggle. And what's the go-to? You see every HitFilm or every After Effects tutorial, and I'm going to add a wiggle expression for camera shake, and I'm thinking, and I'll go to HitFilm and I'll add the camera shake effect.
Yeah, camera shake effect.
So there's other ways of doing it. There are the only thing I can think of that where I've seen an expression done where it couldn't be recreated in HitFilm, not necessarily as easy as the expression, but where you just couldn't do it, was an Andrew Kramer tutorial where he was using a particle simulator to do bullet hits and on water and on a wall, and there was an expression that was tracking when the particle sim was over the wall so that it spewed bullet hits, and over the water when it spewed water hits.
So it's like procedural
that's
almost.
Right, and that picking up on the 2 layers, that's the only thing I've ever seen an expression do in After Effects where I wasn't able to recreate it in HitFilm. Sometimes you just have to keyframe it, right? What's the other expression you see? Time times 10. Okay, so I will just add a keyframe from 0 to 100 because that's the same thing as time times 10.
Sure. That's right. I would think that if you had 2 different particle sims and 2 different deflectors, you could, this one's for the water splashes and this one's for the bullet hits.
It's not a way to do it.
From the same way to, they're in the same location to start anyway. So if they miss it, then they miss it. But if they hit it, then boom, it's a mobile emitter I'd be talking about.
Yeah, you just have to set up the 2 different emitters and just keep interactive properties.
It just would be a different workflow than the way Andrew Kramer did it. Yeah, but it's doable in HitFilm. That's the cool part. Almost everything you can do, in any other thing you can do in HitFilm in some way, shape, or form, right? So
and vice versa, right?
And vice versa. That's exactly right. So let me see. Ted, Great to have you, sir. Good. I'm glad to see you. I recently used Javert's fireworks preset. Yeah.
The Stranger Things one where it's like raining down red, white, and blue. I like that.
Yeah. Is that was speaking of the mobile emitters? Wasn't that mobile emitters? Or was
No, that was
not?
just straight particles raining down with like a light rain streak texture.
Oh yeah. Okay. Let me see.
I love the particle simulator. Oh, it's so much fun.
Yeah.
It's everyone's favorite effect.
Um,
Everyone's favorite effect.
Let me see. Javert, is this Accusinus?
Accusanus?
Okay, I'll buy that. It would be nice to get the Accusanus sound plugins for HitFilm. I don't even know what that is.
No, I'm not familiar with that one, but I'll go back after this stream and check all the.
I'm looking at those right now.
Okay.
Accusanus.com products, sound effects, auto repair, ERA bundle.
Mm-hmm. Well, you're looking at that. I'll go ahead and post Gray Emotions. I'm from Colorado, Rocky Mountain High. Joe Walsh,
Hi, Greg.
Cool Dad. Good to have you, Greg. You follow Coast to Coast. In Colorado, I know I'm from Colorado, so I still follow stuff happening in Colorado right now. They have shut down all the schools because they're not essential. They've shut down all these other stuff. But the liquor stores and the marijuana shops are still open. They are essential, apparently, in Colorado. It just kills me. I can't believe it. I'm like, you guys, whatever. There you go. Let me see. Somebody mentioned in the forums Audacity, being able to open Audacity from HitFilm, edit, and effect, and have it reflected would be superb. That would be probably a difficult thing to add to HitFilm, I would think.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with what development would go into that, but there is talk of like doing more stuff with other free software like Blender or Audacity, because HitFilm Express is free, and that's a big bonus for a lot of people. So if we can do tutorials on other software that is also free, like Audacity, which we did in the Game On one, the gaming tutorial masterclass, then keep everything free, then everyone can access it.
Right. And there's a handful of free tools out there that are, you have them all available to you. You can pretty much do anything you want. And it's really, really impressive. And HitFilm is one of those tools that's right in there.
Yeah.
So HitFilm is not an audio editor. It is not. That's not its main thrust. It is a video editor, and so you would definitely want to complement HitFilm with a very, very good audio editor like Audacity.
Although HitFilm's Doppler effect is amazing.
It is.
That is a hidden gem right there. That one's great.
There is, and there are some effects that you can do in HitFilm that are really cool audio wise. Yeah. Like I built an entire Darth Vader voice in HitFilm, without needing any outside anything.
Since we're on Audacity, to jump very quickly back to Brian Scanlon's comment, which was Javert would be nice to get the Accusanus sound plugins for HitFilm. I glanced at them. They're VST plugins. So if you were to, go ahead and look at them later. It's just going to be Accusanus.com. But they're VST plugins, so getting the Accusanus to run would be the same as getting any other VST.
Okay. Yeah, I've seen a request for VST plugins.
And that would be nice.
Okay.
I agree with that. I gotta agree with that. That's another reason I edit in Vegas. It takes my VST plugins. I've got a couple $1,000s of Waves plugins, including their $100 Doppler plugin. But HitFilm's Doppler's nicer than Waves. It really is. Okay.
Yeah, it's cool. It is definitely a little gem. Chris says that now that we're not in full lockdown yet in Australia, just recommended stay at home. But thank God for HitFilm. I'd seriously be out of my mind or bored if I didn't have to work with that. So totally agree. Here's a question for Javert. How's that Unreal landscape endeavor going, Javert?
Yes.
It's good so far. I did I'm doing some this weekend as well. I started learning Unreal about 2 weeks ago for the purposes of mostly environments and trying to create stuff that is realistic. So yeah, it's going well. I'm working on learning cinematics, like sequences, like using cameras and stuff to actually capture what I'm making, but it's going well.
Right. Didn't you post some pictures of that somewhere, I thought?
Yes, I posted one on my Instagram, and then FXhome tweeted the 3 that I've made so far. I also put
right.
super thread on the forum.
Right there.
Yeah,
that's it.
So, I haven't used Unreal, and I know that using HitFilm and moving to After Effects, or using Premiere and moving to Final Cut, any knowledge in that type of program helps learn any other program. But is anything in your HitFilm work helping translate over into Unreal, or being a game development engine? Is that just a totally different ball of wax?
It's some of the 3D stuff is kind of familiar because it's like X, Y, and Z and positioning it in 3D space. And I understand I don't have to like learn that aspect of it. I get to focus on the composition of what I'm seeing and like placing things in a way that looks nice. So so far it's mostly been drag and drop. There have been a few things where I have to like sculpt the landscape a bit, which I have to learn how to do. But at the moment it's not difficult really to learn what it is I'm interested in.
And those volumetrics, is that inherent in the engine, or I mean, because some of those volumetrics are just stunning.
They're gorgeous.
Yeah. So the like the bloom, which is the glow on the lights, and the fog as well, which casts the rays, that is in engine. So it's basically you create a post process volume, which is kind of like a grade layer in HitFilm. That's where you do all the final effects, and the light rays come from the light in the scene.
Yep. And right now, HitFilm has a sale going on, Javert.
Yeah, I made that picture.
You made that picture.
I made the background. Saffron made the actual picture. I made the background with the exploding.
Do you want to talk a little bit about the sale?
Yeah, so it's as you can see, it's 30% off store wide. So that includes HitFilm Pro, that includes some of the bundles, that includes HitFilm Express add-ons, and it's until April 7th. If you purchase HitFilm Pro, you get a bonus Action VFX stock pack. So that's a cool thing to have.
Yeah.
Good on Roddy, and the team. They're such good guys.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, that's fantastic. That's fantastic. So, let me see. Any other questions out there? Please fire away. And we'll be happy to answer. Like I said, HitFilm is a very, very easy software to use. It's very intuitive. You can just start bringing things in. All you have to do is just find, like if you have a bunch of videos that you want to put together in a video, you just find those in your folder and drag them right into the media bin, and they just populate there. And then you start, you can trim them up in the trimmer window, and then you can drop them into the editor timeline and start working with them. So it really is very, very easy. How easy is it, Javert, to make a title screen?
Just like a regular title sequence?
Mm-hmm.
Depending on what you're going for. If you're trying to recreate a movie title, then it takes a bit more work. But if it's like something simple, or even just like white text on black background, or have a little animation, maybe make it like 3D spin or something, it hopefully is quite easy and accessible to do.
It is.
We also have the installed templates as well, which you demonstrated earlier.
Right. Exactly. I mean, you can just drag and drop and put your title, on, and it places itself, wherever you're at, and then you can work with that. I have to say, one of the nicest things about HitFilm recently is that the titles themselves, the text, everything is working so much better than it did before. It is really, really fantastic.
That's good. Yeah, that's one area that we were really wanting to improve. So hopefully, we did.
And you can do all kinds of really amazing things. I'm going to add a drop shadow because
Because why not?
Yeah, because why not? Because otherwise, it's harder to see. So there's a little drop shadow on that title.
I love 3D extrusion. I don't know why. I just love the look of HitFilm's 3D extrusion on text. I love that it pulls environment maps. I just really like. Don't know why.
Yes.
Yeah.
Totally. I think that you can actually play with a lot of the effects even if you don't have that effect. So, for example, the 3D extrusion. Oh, look.
It is be a layer only, unless you do. Well, actually, let me see.
Oh, yeah, it is a layer only. So it would
Yeah,
have
it's a
to
layer
go
only.
into. I'd have to make
Into a
that
comp.
into an actual composite shot. I
don't know
can't
if you
do that. I can't make a text into a composite shot, so I'd have to make a whole composite shot and then do it that way. But wouldn't be hard to do. But you're right. That adding 3D to the title is a cool, really a cool thing to do. But it's a little bit more work to
And
do.
then Chris George in the chat has just said Video Copilot's plugin Saber works great with text and titles, and I would think it would.
It does. And actually, you can use HitFilm's Saber glows and things like that on text and whatnot.
Neon glow.
Yeah, comes out beautiful. It's and a lot of stuff.
And it was thanks to Javert with the neon glow with the when you did the EKG that it was like, oh, you don't actually have to close masks in HitFilm, and there's something you can do with them.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. And so
that was
what he's talking about is that you just draw a line basically, and then you have it run. You know, your little glow blip run through the line. It's so beautiful.
That was a good thing to know.
Yeah. Yes, and Neon Path.
Neon Path. Bill's got that in all caps.
Yeah. Neon Path? Is that what we're talking about? Yes, you
He's going to look that one up.
And it is. It's pretty cool. So, but it uses a mask, but you don't have to close the mask. You just
or it'll use your text.
Or it'll do it on text as well.
Yeah, it'll just. I love Neon Path.
It's a good.
You know, I use HitFilm a lot for photo editing and photo editing finishing.
I do too.
Yeah.
You know, even though it's not really a photo editor, but it does so many things that a regular photo editor would do. And I'm comfortable enough with HitFilm that I know where everything is, and I could find it in a like GIMP. You know, I mean, I could, but it would, by the time it took me to, get halfway through finding what I need and then applying it, I'd be done in HitFilm. So I just, we'll just do it that way. So
I'm also thinking like a few years ago, I had some friends who did their engagement shoot, but they were in costume, Green Lantern and Blue Lantern. And I wanted to do all the ring effects, and I ended up doing the finishing on all of those photos in HitFilm because Neon Path. It was so much easier to get the ring glow in Neon Path than using Affinity or anything else I had at the time.
Yeah.
HitFilm's great for stills.
I think it is. Have you ever done that, Javert?
No, not really for pictures. I've done a few in Emerge now where I would consider them sort of visual effects composites. Like the one with the picture of Paris in the book, and then I did the one with Tom a couple weeks ago where he's like in the rain. So not in HitFilm. I certainly could because there are a lot of effects in it, but Emerge is actually, I've been using that more because it has quite a lot of effects.
See if it shows up on the screen, right? A little bit. So his glow is all Neon Path.
Oh, that's great.
And actually, he's standing on a rock, so all the compositing to remove the rock, so he's floating over the water. That was all HitFilm.
Oh, perfect.
Right.
Yeah. Robustwell says I used HitFilm. Oh, see, perfect. Yeah. I used HitFilm to create poster art. So, and Greg says my head explodes when I think about the 3D pipeline. One thing with Unreal though is if you use their assets, they can only be rendered in Unreal. So I think that is true. That's the thing.
Really, you can't.
And it's specifically
bounce through Blender or something.
All the textures, and then the Megascans library has a few 3D assets as well. So you get access to I think it's 11,000 something textures and models. What he said there. But yes, it can only be used technically in Unreal unless you pay for it.
Yeah, right. Any questions about HitFilm? Anything you want to know specifically how to do something in there? Put them in the chat room. Otherwise, we're going to start looking at wrapping things up here. What kinds of things have you guys done? Like, Mike, what kinds of things do you use HitFilm to do besides you know, the obvious, making tutorials and things like that. You do wedding videos, or do you no longer do those?
Uh, um, I've kind of passed. The wedding and event video market it's one of those things where the prices keep getting dropped down. So I'm actually doing more shooting for other people these days, just because there's no money left in the editing. But I bought HitFilm because of Mocha, because I wanted to put 3D text into the wedding scenes. For HitFilm, I use HitFilm a lot for titling. For my other videos, and I actually used to do a lot of titles for one of the local TV stations using HitFilm, and I do use sometimes I use HitFilm for sound design. I've brought up the Doppler shift plugin for that particular one. As I've said, I've used HitFilm a lot for photo editing, and of course for VFX shots. I use HitFilm for a lot of weird things. I use HitFilm to make terrible Star Wars themed parody videos.
You recently. Recently.
Yeah. Here, I'll throw that into the chat, and it's got a title title template that I stole from Javert.
It does. Javert, have you done anything outside of FXhome? Have you ever made short films or anything like that?
No, not really. Tom was asking me the same thing a couple of weeks ago. No, not really, because I kind of get my fill of HitFilm at work. Like I would do it in my free time. When I wasn't working for FXhome, I would do HitFilm in my free time. And now it's the thing I do. So I kind of I come home and I do things like I learn piano, or I learn Unreal, or other stuff.
Right.
So not terribly active in HitFilm outside of work. Of course, I'll use it if I need to do a project for anything, really. Like if I need, like the piano videos are edited in HitFilm and that kind of stuff. But otherwise, I pretty much do everything I want to do at work.
Right. Anybody else out in the audience have done anything? Let me know. Chris says he's made a few commercials for friends' businesses, for their websites. That's mainly editing titles. I have too. When I owned my own business, all of my videos, editing and everything I did in HitFilm. From 2000 and however, when did I start? 2014, I think, and on. Before that, I used other software. And do you know what it was?
Windows Movie Maker.
No.
Yeah.
Never used Windows Movie Maker.
Final Cut and Motion.
Nope.
Was it free?
Adobe? Was it Adobe stuff?
Nope. Pinnacle Studio.
Oh, okay.
Pinnacle Studio. And before that, when Corel Lumiere was still available.
I remember that one.
I used that very, very originally. That was my first real foray into, and that was like 90s, right? 90s into the new. And then when Pinnacle Studio 5 came out, I want to say, I used it all the way up until HitFilm, and then I switched to HitFilm, and I have used HitFilm ever since, because it's by far better than any other thing I've ever used. So
it is a really good piece of kit.
Here we go.
Just
Pinnacle 3, Pinnacle Studio. Didn't type fast enough. Yeah. And part of it was that when Pinnacle Studio 8 came out, it had so many bugs in it, and it would crash, and there were so many problems with it. That's when I started looking for something else to use. And then I went on with 9, and 9 was better. But it might have been 9. That's as far as I got. And then I said, yeah, I'm gonna work with HitFilm. And I was one of those guys that I had an idea. I needed the particle sim, so I bought Pro. I never actually used Express. I never even owned it until I
started doing tutorials.
Yeah, until I started doing tutorials. So I think I owned Pro, like version 2, which was called Ultimate. But I didn't own Express. until like version 3 or 4, something like that. So there you go. But it's gotten better every time. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's where I started to. Chris says Pinnacle still makes a pretty good iPad app. I haven't gone back to Pinnacle, so I couldn't tell you anything about what Pinnacle does. But that was my main go-to thing. I will say that for a while I was using both because I was transitioning and I was still learning HitFilm, and so like you, Mike, I was more comfortable in my other software, which was Pinnacle, and so I would use that. And then one day I rendered the same video in both, and I realized that the quality of the HitFilm video was better than the quality of the Pinnacle video, the way it was being compressed or whatever. And I said, man, I got to stop using that, because it's not nearly as good. I can see the difference. And if I can see the difference, then I know young people can see it, so I started, the only thing is the Pinnacle could do DVDs. It could create a DVD out of my project. And you could set up the DVD menus, and they were even nested and things like that. And that was a pretty slick little deal. And HitFilm, you've never been able to make a DVD out of. And today it's not as important because people don't really make DVDs anymore.
You'd be surprised.
Well, I'm sure they do, but they're not like they were 15 years ago, and so it's not as important. But if I do, then I have a DVD making software that I use, so I just use that instead. So let me see. Vision. Here we go. Frank went Pinnacle to Vision Lab to HitFilm. Yep. Andy went Edit Studio 2 free on a PC format magazine CD. That's what I'm talking about. Javert, that's probably before your time.
Yeah, I know what CD is. I don't know. I know magazine. I don't know what PC format is. Is that
name? It was a magazine.
That's the name of the magazine.
Okay.
PC format was the name of the magazine, and you would buy the magazine and you would open it up, and there was a CD in there.
Okay.
And you'd pull that out and put it in your computer and see what you got. Kind of like that. Yeah.
Before that, back in the 1980s, I remember buying like Start magazine, and that came with a floppy disk on the front, a little 3.5-inch. Wow, it's got a floppy.
Yeah, and that was an upgrade because before that, you just opened the magazine and there was code, and you would type it in. You type in the code, and then you would have a program to play with, and if you messed up typing in the code, the program didn't run.
Video wrap. I saw this come up, and I did a search for it, and it comes up as install instructions for video wrap FXhome.com. What is video wrap?
I think it was our transcoding software. I think it's something about going from one format to another, like iPod to DVD or something like that. I think.
Okay, so it's a transcoder converter.
Yeah.
Wow. Bill started on Express, then started following Mike, and Mike was, and then you can do this and you can do that with this pack. And finally I said, yeah, I just need to buy Pro. We'll buy this.
Replace all those ellipses with us, and it'll sound like me.
Yeah, exactly. Dear Adobe Premiere Elements. Yep. What's a DVD? I don't know. Then I found Javert, long before he jumped the pond. Yep. Inkscape. Watched HitFilm when it was HitFilm. Yep. Loved your throwback tutorial to your clone thing, Javert. That was very fun.
Yeah, that was fun to make. It was cool to see something so old and just see how many things were wrong with it that would never fly now.
You made it. So for those of you who don't know, Javert, when he was 15, 14 or 15, something like that, his very first tutorial was how to clone yourself and have multiple, views in the same shot, even interacting, tossing things to each other. And so he recently redid that tutorial, but went back and sort of poked fun at his old tutorial and how it went. The best part was when the phone rang in the background.
Yeah, it's just when you're that young and you're just getting started, you don't care.
No, I don't care.
You don't know what's wrong with it. You just let it slide.
Let's see. My introduction to HitFilm or Alarm DV, I think that was the original name.
Alarm.
Alarm DV?
Alarm. I think there's an R in there.
No, it's Alan. That's one of the.
It is Alan?
Yeah, Simon Jones brought up how many people confuse it all the time.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's ALAM.
Yeah.
Was on a magazine CD. There you go.
Here's a review of it from 2001.
There's
back when it was
discs.
CSB Digital.
Yeah. Floppy disks are those things that look like the save button, right? Save? Save that on a floppy? Yeah, pretty much. After I left Pinnacle 12, then I went to HitFilm Express 3. I did one YouTube upload, then went to Pro 4. And that was back when you could directly upload from HitFilm to YouTube. But YouTube changes the algorithm of how they do that so much that it's just not practical to have that. Especially when you can just save your video in whatever format, a YouTube-friendly format that you want, and then upload it and make sure everything is right, anyway. So
yeah, we don't want the HitFilm devs wasting their time recoding because of YouTube changing their stuff.
Yeah.
We want them putting in new features. And
Exactly. So it just becomes impractical to keep doing that. So yeah, that's a walk down memory lane for sure. So Javert, did you ever work with any other software besides HitFilm?
I started on Vegas Movie Studio, and the only reason I bought it was because on the box it said it could do green screen. At the time, I didn't really know the difference between a video editor and a visual effects program. So I was just like, oh, green screen, I'll buy that. And that was the only program that I used, and then HitFilm came out soon after.
Right. And did you start on the Express version and then upgrade, or did you just...
At the time, there was no free version, so I used the demo for HitFilm Ultimate.
Right. And
I used that for, I think it was like a year, because I was 15. I didn't have any money to buy it. And I think HitFilm 2 Ultimate was the first one that my parents bought it for me. So there wasn't a free version. I just had to use the demo.
So Christian says, I started using Adobe Premiere 4 in 1994, then switched to HitFilm Express 2 years ago. Last year I switched to Pro to use it with Blender 2.8. Never regretted it. There's a quote for you, Javert. That's great. Glad to hear that.
Awesome.
Yeah, for sure. And ask your permission to use that as a testimonial for the application.
Yeah.
The actor says, I worked in IT and we asked someone to send us a copy of their boot up floppy. They faxed it to us. Yeah, that's pretty funny. Well, that's okay. I have a friend who works in IT now, and everybody is now working from home in his company, so he is super busy, right? And is one of the employees says, well, what is this? And he goes, it's a VPN. And she goes, where can I find that? Or what, and then she says, how do you spell that? He's like, it's like the letters V, P, and M. Oh. Yeah, so it still goes on, right? Let me see. Green screen is the whole reason why I originally started on HitFilm Express. Yeah. And actually, Pinnacle Studio had green screen ability. And when I bought Pinnacle Studio for the first time, it was like 5. I had a box, and you open up the box, and it had the CD, and a big green screen was in it, like a cloth. And I still actually have it because it's like small enough that it can be used for like covering a window or a book or something like that, but it's not huge, it's not massive, so it's like, and it's like a mini green screen. It's like 3 feet by 3 feet or something like that. So it's kind of useful actually, right? But the idea is that you'd cover a window and then you could have whatever you wanted outside, kind of a thing. So I got into HitFilm when FXhome gave away HitFilm Express for free, the now free version.
That was this came up on the forum a couple days ago. January 2014, the first time Express was free for 2 weeks.
Yep, I remember that. So maybe I misstated my date. It must have been more like 2013 that I was involved. I can't remember now. So Martin Francis in the house. Good to have you. Thank you for being here. Original floppies. Nice going, Bill. Nice going. Yeah, there you go.
But skip down 2 because there's the sequel.
Now she gets the joke, so that's good. Well, if we don't have any more questions, then we probably ought to wrap it up. I know it doesn't seem like we've been here for a long time, but it has been about an hour and a half, hour and 30.
Martin Francis just popped one in.
Here we go. One question, if I may, guys: buy HitFilm Pro or buy all the add-ons with Express over time? Javert?
The long-term answer is buy HitFilm Pro. It's definitely more worth it to buy Pro than to buy all the add-ons for Express, because you'll end up spending a lot more, and Pro has some features that Express doesn't and will never have because of add-ons. But if it's like a couple effects that you're interested in, then feel free to take a look at the add-ons for them. But if you start spending, I think Jay said earlier, more than like
150,
then you might as well go for Pro.
Yeah, what Javert said, Pro all the way. One thing to remember, if you do buy some Express add-ons, correct me if this has changed, Javert, you will get a partial credit for any Express add-ons you buy if you choose to upgrade to Pro at a future time. It won't be a full thing. If you buy, I think it's about half-ish, but if you buy like $150 of add-ons for Express, that some of that should back out if you upgrade to Pro.
I feel like I'll have to look it up. I think that might have changed with the pay what you want stuff, because now you're getting so many add-ons for a much lower price, which would then discount Pro a lot more. So I think
that's maybe I'll email Kirsty and get her to clarify that for me, because I don't want to give anybody incorrect advice.
Yeah, that would be good to know.
But if you buy all the add-ons for Express, you're going to be paying. We'll go with MSRP. We're going to ignore sales. You're going to be paying about $800 as opposed to $350. You're going to get 1 license instead of 3. You're not going to have everything that's in Pro. And as Javert said, who's the guy? Martin Francis, right? So you showed up late. Javert talked about this earlier in this stream. Foundry is not going to get added as an Express add-on because of how the licensing agreements with Foundry work, right? So if you want that, you got to go Pro only.
Right. And right now, there's a sale going on. So now's a good time to buy. 30% off store-wide, everything. So if you're thinking about upgrading to Pro, now would be a great time. It's almost a whole third off the price.
Yeah, and everybody in the comments is typing Pro. Re-up.
Absolutely. Being able to use 3D models directly inside Pro is worth it for me. And it is. And you can buy the model up pack. There's an upgrade for that in Express. But like you said, there's so many other things that you can get when you get Pro. Least of which things that are Pro only, like the Foundry tracker or the Mocha stuff, or right now chromatic aberration is a Pro only effect.
Right. 3D models, the depth mask, depth matte, and depth layer, I think, are Pro only. So even if you buy the 3D models add-on for Express, I don't think you're quite getting. You're getting like 95% of the functionality of 3D models in Pro. You're missing a couple things there.
Yeah.
I think
that's probably right. Not that the free version of Express isn't good, because it's really
Express is amazing.
Yeah.
What
especially
FXhome
for
gives
free.
Yeah.
I mean, you're rarely going to find something that is free that gives you as much as it gives you.
Even if you compare it to some of the $150 and under editors that are sold, the commercial ones.
Right, like Pinnacle Studio. At least I paid $99 for Pinnacle Studio. So,
or for VFX, HitFilm Express is more powerful than some of the $500 to $1,000 programs out there. I mean, HitFilm Express really is insanely useful.
I mean, yeah, HitFilm Express can do things that no other free product can do. Blender is a very good, and it can do things that no other free thing can do also. But
Resolve.
what Blender is, and Resolve the same thing. What Blender is to what it does, HitFilm is to what it does. HitFilm Express is, and you have them both, you're in really good shape. But if you really want those other features, going Pro is definitely the way to go, I think.
I'll throw Resolve in there as well. HitFilm has really good color grading tools, but Resolve is the master of color grading. That's what it started as, right?
Yep.
So.
Yep. That's right. That's right. But HitFilm is no slouch at color grading. And HitFilm is very easy to use with its color grading tools.
Yeah. Martin's got another question.
Where I'm missing it. Any thoughts on Element 3D in Pro?
Throw that to Javert. I've never tried it.
Yeah, no, me neither.
Oh, I thought you had. I thought you would have had to test.
A little bit, but I've never used it on a project because I've been using HitFilm for a number of years and it has 3D models, and I didn't want to buy Element 3D for not using it so much. So I've used it for testing stuff, but I've not used it enough to call myself knowledgeable about it.
Greg is the one that I know who has played around with it the most. So Gray Motion, Greg from Colorado is, he's to be the person that I would ask.
And Greg, you've done a couple of Element 3D tutorials on your channel, right? Which means that you should put your YouTube channel into the chat so Jay can bring that up so people can find your tutorials.
Yeah.
Or you can find them off the playlist sections on HitFilm University. But either way, go look at Greg's tutorials.
Yes, and Greg, I just made you a quote unquote moderator, so you can actually put your YouTube channel in the chat room, because usually YouTube doesn't allow you to do that unless you get permission. So, E3D, and it works almost perfectly, but there are a couple of issues, is what I think he. And he says, and I'll make some more too. So there you go. Yeah, and you have to buy Element 3D. It's not it's not something that's free. So I don't own it, and I have no need for it in what I do. So therefore I won't. So, or unless the mod posts it for you, the link for you. Yeah, and I can do that. That's why Mike is my mod here. And Courtney has posted it, because I made Courtney a mod the very first live stream I ever did, so that she could do things for us behind the scenes, and she's still a mod in my. Javert, I don't know if I ever made you a mod. I don't think I did, because I don't think you've ever actually logged in while in the middle of a chat.
Yeah.
So there you go.
And Martin Francis, I have HitFilm 4 Pro, but it's gotten very dated now. Martin, there's actually nothing wrong with that. Dafter Things, who is, I think he's still in our audience, he's a stop motion animator who still does most of his stuff in HitFilm 4 Pro, and then he uses Express for some of the newer features. There's a HitFilm user named Paul Weston, West Effects, and he has, over the last few years, produced full feature-length films that have won film festivals. And he was working in he started in HitFilm Ultimate 2 and didn't upgrade from Ultimate 2 until HitFilm 13. So and he just you can stay with HitFilm Pro, and yeah, it's dated, but you can keep using it and you can still get great things out of it. And of course, one of the great things about FXhome is you can still use HitFilm 4 Pro, and they didn't shut it off because you didn't pay them every year.
That's right.
Perfect.
Greg says HitFilm Pro 4 pretty solid. I still use it once in a while, and I do too. To be honest, I pull it out and use it also. I have all the way back to Pro 3, so I rarely pull out 3. A lot of the only reason I pull out 3 is to show what it looked like back in the day, right? In a tutorial. Sometimes I will give a like for example, in my Udemy course, when I talk about the 360 video viewer effect, I pulled out HitFilm 3 and said it was originally called the environmental viewer, whatever, and then they changed the name of it. And when I talked about how to pre-render, again, I said it was originally called proxy, and I showed it in the actual HitFilm, and they updated that terminology to more match what it is, kind of a thing. So.
I still search for environment map viewer in the effects panel rather than 360 viewer, because if I type 360, I get all the 360s, and if I type ENV, I just get like 2.
You get the one that you want.
So I still call it environment map.
In your head.
It's easier to find that way.
Yeah. Well, the beauty of HitFilm, and this is a nice little feature, is that you can save favorites, and actually I do that. In this case, these favorites are because I'm doing a tutorial using all of these effects, believe it or not, and so that's why they happen to be in there at this very moment. And so instead of I've gotten into the habit of just dragging favorites into the thing. So
crush black and white alpha, demult, fine edges, light source,
glow only, neon glow and shake. Good luck figuring out what that is. Good luck.
A lot of possibilities there.
Yep, could be. Let's see. Andy asks, any gossip on the update to the forums, Javert?
In terms of restructuring the actual forum software itself, not at the moment. We did. We're trying to post more often. As Tom and I set up our own super thread so that we can engage more, and we'll be commenting on people's threads more. As far as updating the forums, that's kind of 80 is the QA on that. He's the one handling that. It's an ongoing thing. We're kind of doing it in phases, but with the stuff happening right now, I'm not sure where that is.
I'll give you a gossip, and Javert will tell me to shut up if I start to step over my NDA. There's a forum area for beta testers and ambassadors that's not generally accessible, and there were a bunch of test threads that were appearing and disappearing, and they're something that they're working on. I think they're trying to enable linking images directly inside the forum. Is my guess on what I saw. I think that would explain all the test threads that kept popping up in that.
The test threads were because Kirsty wanted to set up that show us your setups thread, and I could do that.
I thought it was about getting forum images to link directly.
Yeah, we know that's
this is broken. This is broken.
Useful feature, because she was spending like half an hour trying to figure out how to post an image. So we know that that's like a big thing that would make it much easier.
Well, that was gossip. My gossip was wrong.
Yeah. Since you guys are now working out of your own home, there's your studio, Mike.
That's a photo of the same type of laptop. That's not where I am.
Yeah. I know. We noticed.
Yep.
Let's see. There's Javert's. Yeah. And there's mine right there. Yeah. So yeah. A lot of
But scroll down and show Terry's, because he's got the cake pans.
Oh yeah, Terry's was great. The nice thing about the forums is that there's Tony's. There they are. Isn't that lovely? Look at all those cake pans in his workspace. That's fantastic, right? I love it. But the forums are a great place to go if you have any questions. You go to FXhome.com and find the forums and ask away. People are very friendly there. They are very welcoming. Everybody is there to help. And it really is one of the friendliest places you'll find on the internet. Would you guys agree with that?
Yeah, that's what we're trying for.
Yeah, and you have hit it. There you go. And Terry says that's just the kitchen from the stove point of view. Well, those are pretty cool cake pans. I gotta tell you, man, those are pretty sweet. So yeah, new forum software. Are they looking at completely revamping the forums, Javert, or just tweaking what we've got?
It's more that we know that there are kind of a lot of things missing from it in terms of making it easy to use or uploading images, something like as simple as that. So we're kind of looking at like all options. Like, do we need a new host for the forum, or do we need to just reconfigure a few things? So we're kind of just looking at like, how can we make it better overall? And then if we have to move to something else, then we'll look at that option as well.
Yeah. I like the forums, but I do think that there could be some improvement there. The biggest thing that I miss from the forums is the ability to private chat with people. But I understand why that had to be
Article
removed.
13.
Yep. Yeah.
Yep.
It wasn't you guys that wanted to do that, but it was required. And so I can appreciate that. But that was really nice to be able to, ask somebody privately a question on the forum. So it's a lot harder to get in touch with people if you don't know what they're, you have to like, hey, would you send me an email, or would you get in touch with me on Facebook or whatever kind of a thing. So, what I would like to, though, is a dark version of the forums, because I can read white on black so much easier than I can read black and white.
Well, if you go down to support and then right click and then go to pay what you will, and you can,
there you go. No.
Get dark mode. Get dark mode for $9. Dark mode on the forum with direct image hosting.
That'd be nice.
And private chat.
Yeah. No, actually, I just prefer a darker screen. I'm one of the weird people. My Facebook page, my feed is dark. It's the dark mode. My YouTube channel, when I look at YouTube, it's dark.
Yeah, me too.
It's just I prefer that look personally.
Yeah, me too.
So and that's, I know I'm in the minority on that. So let me see, likes on the forum. That would be interesting.
Like, send force points. There used to be the likes button on there, and Terry and Preston, Stormy Night used to like everything.
Yeah. Stormy Night. And Tony, I admit I don't use the forum search. I use Google to find HitFilm forum posts. The search is lacking.
Mm-hmm.
The search is lacking. If you know what you're looking for and you know the exact search term to type in, then you can use the search. But if you're kind of just fishing, it's better to use Google to search the forums. It's that's what Google does. So vanilla is very expandable. Vanilla is new host, please. Actually, how about a
cut that.
A HitFilm Discord. There is a HitFilm subreddit out there.
Yeah, Discord is something we've discussed because of this lockdown situation. We think it would be very resource heavy to be constantly checking in, but it would be good to be able to talk to people just live. Mm-hmm. The concern would be how often we have to check it, because we implemented the live chat on the store a couple weeks ago, and that is almost constantly going. So to have a Discord as well would be a bit busy.
Yeah, bring Gavin back.
Well, and you obviously monitor the forums. The devs monitor the forums. The marketing people monitor the forums. A lot of people at FXhome are very involved in the community feedback. Which I think is probably very unusual for any company, let alone a software company. And then there is a subreddit out there also that I believe was started by Jamie, right? Film Empire.
It was started by some guy, and then I took over as moderator, and then added Jamie.
Yeah.
In. So yeah.
Yeah, but you guys monitor that pretty heavily too.
Yeah.
So you guys have a lot of work to, and when you're approaching 5 million registered users, that's a lot of people. And not everybody is obviously, not all 5 million of them are asking questions at the same time, but I would imagine that will only get bigger, as time goes on.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean FXhome, you're at your end, Javert. The growth is amazing, because I know when I remember when I started in, and there was hi Ivan, and it was under 10,000 users, and then it took years to get to the 1 million, and then it took like I have to say, you guys have exponential viral growth going at the moment. I mean, just going from 1 to 2 to 4 to 5, and at an accelerating rate. It's just been amazing to watch.
Yeah, we are very proud. We were thinking of doing like a social post where we figure out when somebody joined versus how many users. So like when Ollie joined, I think he said it was something like, I don't know, 3 million users or something. And then when Kirsty joined 6 years ago, it was like,
no, Ollie's been around for longer than that.
Something ridiculous. So yeah.
Kirsty's been under 1 million probably when she first
Kirsty came in on HitFilm 3,
right?
So she was around 10, and she might have been there when it was under 10,000 users as well.
So CC Coder says, should I take advantage of the sale to upgrade? To upgrade, is he upgrading? He has HitFilm Pro plus the 12 months. So I think that you're going to get a natural discount if you upgrade.
Right. Well, doesn't it say, okay, so plus 12 months update extension, free updates until 13th April 2020.
So he's up on April 13th, which is next month. And in fact, it's just in a couple of weeks.
So
he's going to get a natural upgrade. Does the sale price affect the natural upgrade price?
I believe it'll be on top of it as well, but I'm not 100%. If it's not, contact support, and then we'll figure it out. But yeah, you should be getting an email soon, letting you know that the update extension is almost over.
Yes, and so, but
the answer is yes, because the answer is yes,
most likely. But if you own Pro and you have your 12 months of updates, and then you choose to upgrade or add another 12 months of updates, you get that at a discounted rate, I believe. At least I have. So
I've never seen an FXhome sale at more than 30%. So right now, this is the best price you're going to get.
Yeah. And I think that's right. So,
bye, Andy. Bye, Martin.
See ya, Andy. See ya, Martin. Thanks. Let me see. I buy 2 years at a time. How do you do that? I don't know how you do that. Sales. There you go. Yeah. Contact FXhome support to verify it. And you can go to the page and look at your account and see what it says there too. That'd be the first place to start. So buy on sales. How about that? He's got one and he's got another one just in case. Is it cold where you're at, Mike, right now in Orange County?
By California standards, yeah.
Yeah.
I realized that I was like matching. I'm like, oh.
Yes, you are. Javert, what's the weather like in England?
It was about high of 49 today, so it was almost nice. It was a little bit cold when the wind picked up.
49 Fahrenheit.
Yes.
Yeah. And here in Virginia right now, it is 88 degrees out there. My gosh, it's warm out there. So, yeah. Whew. A backup bat.
What are we right now?
That's
we're at 65. So yeah, I could get away without the hoodie.
You got a backup bat underneath, so there you go.
I've got the ears.
The bat ears. Nice. I have a question for you, Javert. Every week, FXhome has a little kind of a mini contest called the FX prompt, 48-hour prompt. They give a word and they say, make something and send it in to us. And, using HitFilm, make something based on that. And then we will look at it and, show it off. And maybe, they've recently started giving away little prizes, for the best one. How's that going? Is that a pretty good idea?
Yeah, it's good because it's good to see people be creative and we get some cool stuff. It's not a huge amount of submissions at the moment. It's a couple people per week. It's good. It's good because we do have like the same 2 or 3 people every week, it's good to see like them expand their like creativity and stuff.
Sure.
So yeah, there's not a lot of submissions. We're probably going to start promoting it in YouTube videos and maybe newsletters so that we can get a wider reach. But yeah, at the moment we're continuing to do it.
Yeah, I've submitted a couple just for fun, but it's sort of like I see the word, an idea pops in my head, and then I do that, and then if an idea doesn't pop into my head, then I don't. You know what I mean? So, that kind of a thing. 77 in Kentucky, 93 in Orlando, woo, and 59 in Cleveland. There you go. There's your weather for the all across the country. I think it's a cool idea because it gets people involved and gets people, doing things with HitFilm and showing their stuff off a little bit. Is there any like time limit? Because I could see somebody, I'm gonna submit this 3-hour long movie around color.
if they can make a 3-hour movie in 48 hours, then yeah, feel free to do it. Can't promise that we'll watch the whole thing because
might fast forward through some of the boring parts.
There's no time limit on the actual submission.
Because I know like Production Crate, they have their 10-second, contest. Yeah. 10 seconds. If it's a frame over 10 seconds, forget it. Right? You're out. Right?
The one contest I did, I think, what did I have a 1 minute limit on it, and then I ended up getting 60 or 70 different submissions, and yeah, it's like, it's gonna take me like a couple of hours to watch all these. So.
Yeah. Which is why you don't. Why you probably ought to limit that, especially if it gets big. Right now, it's not gonna be tough, right?
Yeah, we did have a competition a couple months ago. I think Ollie and I announced it for 200,000 subscribers, I think it was. And we got like 200 submissions. And poor Saffron had to comb through all of them. And contests are fun, but it is a lot to look at.
Yeah.
So Courtney asks, how and where do you submit?
There you go. Good question.
I believe it's the email address nottobragbud@fxhome.com, but double check the Instagram because that's where we'll post the prompts.
Yeah.
I guess Javert hasn't seen it. One of the Instagram posts linked to a blog post, so you can send to the email nottobragbud@fxhome.com, or tag FXhome on Twitter, or tag on Instagram, or tag on Facebook. So you can also do it on social media.
As well, like 48-hour VFX challenge or something.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, as long as you tag them and they see it,
Mm-hmm.
that's exactly right. So. If it's not on YouTube, I won't hear about it. So see, there you go, Javert. Yeah. Pass that on. And that's a lot of people, they only follow the YouTube stuff. So for sure. Would FXhome ever consider a scripting competition?
Yeah.
Users submit scripts and FXhome choose one to make into a short.
Yeah, definitely something we can look at because making it into a short, I think, would be cool for the person that wins to see their stuff.
I agree. There's the exact number of users, registered users of HitFilm. So
as of a few seconds ago, that's fast because right. Remember, Jay, we talked about this last week in the green room after the stream, and last week it was 4,933,000. So another 33,000 in a week. Javert, my guess is you guys are going to hit 5 million users within in the next week to 10 days.
Yeah.
I think you guys are right up on it.
Maybe by my next live stream it will be. What do you think? Woohoo! Yeah. It's also on the startup screen for HitFilm.
That's right.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And then right above that, Dwayne's got a question.
How do you add a picture/logo without the white background in HitFilm?
If the picture logo already has a white background, you can use luminance key to take out the white, or if you're in Pro, you could use the remove stock background, which can do white.
And black, right?
Yeah.
The background over white and black, yeah.
Yeah. If it's without the white background, yeah, I imagine that's just a case where it already has one. So you just have to remove it.
Right.
There you go.
So if I made that into a composite shot, and then I found,
I don't even think you needed a comp shot, Jay. I think you could just do that on the edit timeline.
I think you're probably right. I agree. And if I just click the little plus icon and went to keying and the luminance key.
I keep forgetting to use that new pop-up console, and that's such a great little thing too.
Wait,
yeah, that was Ben. That and the
that was
favorites in the effects. Those were both Ben.
Right, and then Ben also redid the search booleans as well, right?
Yeah, that's
out
right.
The brighter.
Yeah.
And so now I have this keyed out, the brighter part keyed out, and I would obviously tweak the threshold and that kind of stuff here. There you go.
Yeah.
Right. You can see the transparency by clicking on options, checkerboard background. Otherwise, you won't be able to see the transparency of it.
And then Ivan has put down if it's a black background, you would use the demult tool or or luminance key, just like for the white background.
Right. Yes, because you
the
could
thing
key out
about
the darker.
The demult effect is that it doesn't have a slider, so demult removes whatever it will remove. If part of your logo is dark or close to black, it'll also take that out. That's why we made the remove stock background effect, which has a slider.
Yes, and that is not in Express, is it? Remove stock background effect.
I believe it's Pro only at the moment.
Yes. Yeah. But if I can tick off any effect by checking there, and then if I go in and under keying find demult, then it removes that black. But there is no slider. So, unlike the luminance key, where you can adjust the threshold of it, right, and the tolerance, you can actually view the matte and stuff like that to see.
Well, it's demult is intended. Demult's not intended for the type of graphic you have up, where you've got the very stark black and white. Demult is to deal with something that something that is supposed to have transparency that was composited over a black background.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
I just grabbed the first.
I just grabbed the first picture I could find.
No. You're right. It's just since someone answered the question and we said you could use tool or tool. Why do you?
And actually, it was a white background. That's why I grabbed it, because I'm like, I have something that has a white background.
Yeah, but like a fire stock footage over a black background, that's what demult is for, and that'll smooth out the edges really nicely. Whereas if you use a luminance key on that stock fire with the black background, you're gonna have the dark fringe,
right?
Because you want the fire to be transparent. So
right. Old Grumpy Hunter says make your image a PNG, and if you can actually, or I could actually then export this frame as a PNG, and it would be transparent. All the transparent alpha channel would be still in that. So let's see what else I just had. We're welcome back, Bill. There you go. Let me see. Yeah, leaf back and see what you missed. That's right. Thank you, Dwayne. Great to have you. And there's Ivan says demult. Yep. That's what we were just saying. Got to run. Greg, have a good one, man. Thank you. Don't stay safe. You bet. I believe in you, Greg. See ya. All right. So yeah, lots of things that can be done in HitFilm. It's a great tool, and it really is fabulous for just basic editing and then adding in extra things. Even if you start off, if you're brand new and you've never used it, you start off using it just as an editor, and then you say, "Boy, I wonder if I could do this." Just go find out, and it's easy to search it up online or even ask in the forums of FXhome, see if it's even possible. How would I go about doing this? And a lot of people do. They go right to the forums and ask, hey, I want to be able to do something like this. Can I do that? And they go, yeah, here's Mike's tutorial on how to do that. You know, that he did.
Or how do you do that? I don't know. And then a week and a half later, here's Jay's tutorial on how to do that.
That's exactly right. Hey, I got an idea for a tutorial. That's exactly right. Well,
or
listen.
you can use HitFilm to make Star Wars themed virus parodies like that.
Like yours. Yep.
Pops that into the chat.
Pops that into the chat. Go check
Pops
that out.
into the chat.
That one is actually a fun, very, 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 very fun. Here's a question. It hasn't popped up on my it hasn't populated yet in StreamYard, but the question is, who took the mocap suit home? Javert?
Tom, because that's kind of his realm.
Tom took it. Tom gets to play with the mocap suit?
Yeah.
That's not fair. How come you didn't get to take it home?
That's his area because it's like 3D stuff. He likes doing mocap and simulation stuff.
But that's not your area? You didn't get to take that home?
No.
They just gave you a pop-up green screen. Woo.
Yeah.
But I think Javert got the BMP CC6K.
No, that's actually no. I got the GH5. Because Josh has been using the Black Magic for the green screen Vive.
Oh, for the tracker.
So Josh gets to take that home.
Yeah.
I guess when you own the company, you get to take whatever you want, right?
Yeah.
One of the best things about HitFilm is its learning curve. It's a very powerful software, but it has a fairly easy learning curve. You can really jump right in and start using it immediately because it's fairly self-intuitive. And then if you say, oh my gosh, how would I do this? Then you might have to dig a little further and go more over a learning curve. So there you go. But Sensei Star Bill.
Don't get off that.
CC Coder, great to have you. What curve? Exactly. It's a flat line. It's easy to learn. HitFilm really isn't very hard to learn at all. So if you want,
it really is.
It is. It's one of the easier applications you'll ever learn, especially when it comes to video editing. If you want more information about HitFilm or how to use or how to download it, get a free copy of it, or even a $9 version of it, which has a bunch of extras in there. Javert, where can they go? What can they do?
For that, it would be fxhome.com/express. And then download HitFilm Express, and that'll take you to the download page. Pay what you want.
fxhome.com/express. And after things, here's another quote for you. I got my money's worth out of HitFilm, and I suspect I only used 50% of it. I have to admit, when I made my Udemy course on HitFilm, I was amazed at how much stuff I did not know. But it's a complete course, so I had to go and learn every last thing about it. And I was astonished at how much I'm like, I didn't even know this was an effect. I had no idea it was in here. I didn't even know you could do that. It was really a nice source for me to create tutorials, because I'm like, man, I didn't even know. I have a great idea for this effect. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. So.
I remember way back in the day, stepping through every effects filter and playing with all of the settings, and I have not, it's been years since I've done that, so I know there's features and functions I've forgotten.
Yes. Well, it was funny because when I came out with my HitFilm, everything you need to know about HitFilm 14, you came back to me and said, "Oh, I forgot about that." I forgot about that one too.
Yeah.
Those kind of things. Well, you just said, "I forgot. I got to start using that little plus icon."
Right. I got to start using the pop-up panel that Ben coded in.
It's wonderful. It's wonderful. At first, I was like, "Oh, I'm never going to use that," and now I use it all the time. It's like, how did I ever get along without that? It's so easy to find. You don't even need the effects panel up anymore. You can just add them straight. So you can save room on your workspace by removing the effects panel. which is what I've done, unless I'm making a tutorial. So, and then I use a standard, look. So
I keep the effects panel on there, but I've got it tabbed in the same container with my media and my history. So
yeah. And I tab in the export window in with the viewer and layer.
Yes, export window, fits nicely in the viewer. Otherwise, it's like, I can't read this.
Yeah, I don't know what's happening there. Hey, Javert, talk a little bit about the new export features. How does that work?
Yeah, so we moved the export page to its own panel. Mm-hmm. So the functionality is basically the same, but now that it's a panel, you can drag stuff into it directly from the media panel. You can undock and you can put it somewhere else if you want to make it easier to find. But yeah, functionality-wise, it
didn't even occur to me that you could drag media directly into the export panel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can drag it from the media panel.
Yeah,
and I feel like there's somewhere else, but I can't.
Which is really cool. You just drag it right into the tab itself, and then it starts exporting.
Could you even drag it off the timeline itself?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I think so. Yeah.
Oh, of course.
Could you grab a bunch of clips and if I grabbed a bunch of clips from the media panel and drag them to the export, it would make each clip an export job?
Export tab.
I think I need to open it and then.
Yeah, I think we're all opening our export tabs right now.
Sitting there. But it's dragging each one individually.
Well, that was kind of what I was wondering, because not that I normally, I don't know. I was thinking for transcoding. I mean, and even for transcoding, I'd say use MPEG Stream Clip or use Handbrake or something else. But, just I could see that being useful to just be able to batch. I'm thinking of those situations where maybe you have to deliver to multiple formats. Maybe I have to be able to deliver a 4K and a whatever, and I could maybe do my 4K render, and I could see bringing that back into HitFilm and then just dragging that to the export panel a few times to do the 1080 and the 720 and the Instagram and doing that really quickly. So that's neat. Wow, yeah. Thanks, Javert. I didn't know you could do that.
Those are the layers themselves. Right. So, and then you can start the export process and then come back and continue working in, if you want to change something, right? It's pretty cool. Pretty sweet.
And then old Grumpy Hunter's got a question down there. I'm not sure what he's asking 100%.
What happened to the transparent text option? That was transparent. I had that listed. I just threw it in there because I want to see what would happen if I drug them all into the exporter. And it drags each one as a separate export. So
there is a cancel button for the export.
Yes. Yeah, that's exactly right.
You can either press suspend exporting, or if you highlight the thing and press delete, it'll suspend it and then you can delete it.
Right. Yep. Or you could that's what I just did. I highlighted it and deleted it. Start exporting. And then if it was exporting, if I started exporting, now I can say suspend export, right? I forget how to do it. Oh, there it goes. Now I can suspend export, right? And then I can delete it if I want to delete it. Like that.
And I mean, you should delete it, because if you've suspended an export, you got to start over again anyway.
Yeah. Actually, I think you can restart it.
It depends on the format. I think with MP4s, it doesn't work so well, but for image sequences, you're always good to go.
Really?
Yeah. I think.
Usually, if I'm suspending something, I'm because I didn't want it, so I'm deleting it anyway. But it could be, right? So I love the
I've
new
suspended
export.
things because I needed the resources for something else, but I like to export. Sure. A lot of the time I export image sequences just to keep the, zero compression on my intermediate.
Oh, here's a question. If you put something in the export queue, then work on it some more, then run export, will it include the changes, or does it need to be re-exported?
It needs to be re-added to the export queue, because when you add something to export, it puts in an instance of the project or whatever media that is. So if I were to put in an instance of a clip where my lower third is misspelled, and then I change it, and then I'd have to re-add it back in, because the mistake would still be there.
Now, does that apply if I've set up an export queue that is rendering from multiple projects at once.
Yes.
So the export queue really is holding an instance of the project in its own buffer.
Yeah, you could send it to the export queue, switch projects, hit export, and it would continue to do the project that you had added.
Yeah.
But that's another workflow thing, right? What I was just talking about, if I needed to do various formats, so I could make my comp shot, say, send it off, and then send it to the export queue, and then very quickly come in and change the dimensions of the comp shot to be square, and then send that off, and there's the Instagram, and then I could I could send those all off. So okay, that's
how I do it. And
awesome.
Actually, you know how I do how I have my start.
Sorry, Buzz. I just kicked my cat in the face.
Nice going. You know how I have my my live stream start video and end video? They're basically the same video, but they're different because they have different words and stuff, and the timing is different of them. And so I will start one and then say, put it in the export, and then I'll load the other one up and I will build it, and then I will say, put it in the export, and then I will hit go and start exporting because it takes a while to export them. And then I go have lunch or whatever, and then I come back and they're done, kind of a thing, you know. So because they have a lot of layers, so they do take a while to to render. But yeah, you can have several different exports from the same project or different projects, and it's like it memorizes exactly where it was at when you chose to say export that, and then it exports exactly the way that it was. But if you changed it, it won't change in the export. So if you want it changed, you just remove that old one and start a new one, or resubmit it to the export. But I think it's a vastly better way of doing it, and it's different, and so I think there was some pushback because it was so different, but it's different in a much better way.
HitFilm's export functions have probably had more large-scale visible changes than anything else, not counting the general interface, right? Because first it was the pop-up window, and then it was its own screen, and now it's back to being a panel, and
the queue itself was also
the queue itself was relatively new, but the export queue in HitFilm is actually, it's a really nice export queue. Since we talked earlier that I edit in Vegas, I actually wish Vegas's exporting queue was as nice as HitFilm's, and I have a very nice export queue for Vegas, but it's somebody's third-party script-based plugin to add that functions that HitFilm just has out of the box.
Yeah, and what's nice is not only do you have the queue, but then you have your presets, so you can decide, you can create your own presets, put them in your user presets, and then there are built-in presets for like Facebook or for Vimeo or whatever, plus all kinds of other ones. And then in the queue, you just choose, how you want it to look, and you can immediately export it as that. And so it's very, very simple and very, very easy to do, which just is another good feature for HitFilm Express. So for people who are brand new and have never done this before, it really is easy. And you, all you have to do is just click on the actual file itself, which would be right here. And then it would take you to a, there it is. And it will show you where it is. And then you can name it and put it where you want and so on and so forth. And then you can quickly export it and upload it to YouTube or wherever you're planning on uploading it. So it's really super simple to use, the export now. It's just lovely. So
I have I'm looking here at my own user presets. They're all things like YouTube no audio, YouTube 4K no audio, OpenEXR, image sequence, HitU tutorial, HitFilm guest tutorial. Yes, the guest tutorials have their own.
But the beauty is you can set those up, and then you have them. And so it's for people who are maybe making videos for their nonprofit or their church or their work or their whatever, you can have your own separate presets for each of them as needed to be used. So
Tony's noting when he works his HitFilm 14 on his older PC, he'll throw comps in the export where he works on his other PC, of course. And Courtney has been transcoding using HitFilm to batch transcode.
Yeah. Yeah, the mermaid footage, right? So absolutely. Set and forget. That's exactly right. It is important to note, and this is really valuable, if you're filming on something like a cell phone or something like that, it's very possible that it will be filmed under what's called variable frame rate. And variable frame rate is great for streaming and things like that, but it's not good for nonlinear editors like HitFilm to work with. They all struggle with it. And so you will want to transcode that into a fixed frame rate file that your nonlinear editor like HitFilm will be able to use and won't get confused. And so I do it. I use Handbrake to do it. It's free, and it's very, very good at doing it as far as I'm concerned. Do you guys use a different transcoder, or is Handbrake it?
I use Media Encoder, probably.
Media Encoder?
Usually I use Handbrake, except for 2397 or 5997, because it was Norman PCN on the forum who's pointed out that there's a bug in Handbrake for 2397 and 5397. So for those two, I'll use MPEG Streamclip.
Oh, okay.
Or I'll use MPEG Streamclip if I'm going to Cineform instead of... I use Handbrake if I'm going to MP4. I use MPEG Streamclip if I'm going to Cineform.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Yeah, and for most people, if they're beginners and they're just creating, Handbrake and MP4 is probably going to be fine, right?
It's fine. I mean, I used to do my transcoding directly inside HitFilm or Vegas, and this is directed more towards Courtney. And you can use HitFilm to transcode, or you can use Vegas to transcode. But honestly, if you use a dedicated transcoder, it's going to go faster. HitFilm, once you put the footage on the timeline and then send it to export, it's just got to look at it, and even if it's not doing anything to it, it's got to look at it, it's got to decode it, it's got to go through its list of operations, got to go nothing, send the frame out. And since transcoders aren't editors, it just immediately frame out, and it's gonna go faster.
Yeah, and you can set up, you just drag and drop into Handbrake and it goes, or you can set it up. You can put them all in a file. And then make a folder, and make a queue of them all and say, just run them all, and then go, have a cup of coffee and, have some breakfast or whatever you have to do. Come back and it'll all be transcoded for you.
But if you transcode in HitFilm, you'll probably get on mine's a 2015 computer, but you'll probably end up transcoding at about half real time. So it'll take 2 hours to transcode an hour of footage.
Right.
And if you transcode in Handbrake on my machine tends to go about twice real time. So if I have to transcode an hour of footage, it takes 30 minutes.
Right. Yeah, and that's been my experience as well. So it's better to transcode it using something like Media Info or Handbrake or something like that.
And that would be the same thing in Vegas as well. If you throw it up on an NLE, the NLE just has to look at it, do the order of operations, and even if it's doing nothing, it still has to. It takes time to go nothing.
Yes, the I think mostly cell phone footage and video gaming capturing. People who are into videoing their own gaming experience and then making YouTube videos out of it, which is very, very popular. That's always variable frame rate. So people get, and what happens is if you don't transcode it, there'll be a out of sync from the audio, and video will start to drift out of sync, and it will get worse the longer the video is. So you definitely want to transcode it. I see another one on there. No. Okay. Mike, you only have a laptop?
Yep.
No PC?
No, I don't have a desktop at the moment.
Wow. Cool. There it is.
I actually was typing something on that to Frank in the chat. Had to offer. I've been wanting to upgrade for a while, but wifey and I were planning on moving overseas And I've been debating on whether or not I'll probably end up buying a computer before we move overseas, because consumer electronics are cheaper over here than they will be in Ireland. But it'll be one of those things I'll want to wait on. The laptops, it's been field production, right? I've been a field videographer, a field gigger, and I go out and I'm on location. So having the laptop it's been being able to work in the field. I've had times when, I've been on a job and had, we may be filming a dance thing and I'm one of like 6 people and we're all on our things and we're doing our things. And suddenly it's like, hey, can you guys send somebody over to this room and go do this other thing? And I've been pulled off my camera line and sent off with a camera and my laptop to go do the other thing, because I can quickly shoot it, take it in, edit it, output it, be my own independent thing. And you can't do that with a desktop.
Carry that old boy around.
We're in the process of tearing everything apart behind me. I haven't had a room to be a specific office for a while, so I haven't wanted to set up a desktop. But yeah, I really should, because a lot more power for your dollar.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, you all did not need to hear so much of that. I'm sorry, I just wasted a minute of everyone's time.
HitFilm Academy is using HitFilm for some really good gaming montages at the moment. HitFilm, the FXhome tutorials on it were really good. Did you have a lot to do with that, Javert, or was that mostly Ollie?
No, that's Max. Max
Academy.
He's just doing it by himself.
Yeah, but I'm talking. Max is HitFilm Academy, but the I meant the FXhome tutorials.
Oh, I see. Oh, because I see. Because HitFilm Academy also does tutorials. So
yeah, he does.
Yes, he does tutorials, but he also does the gaming montages. But Dapter says the FXhome tutorials on it were really good. Yeah. Also,
do you mean Simon's from HitFilm 4? No, there was a more recent line.
No, the gaming. Yeah, Ollie did a masterclass on gaming,
right.
Video gaming stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Was that Ollie who did all that, or did you guys?
It was Ollie presenting. I edited everything.
He just looked like he was the one that did it.
Yeah,
because he basically was sitting at the computer like he was doing all this stuff.
Yeah,
it was you.
Yeah, that was on purpose.
The magic of video editing. See, what you do is put Ollie's head or face on you while you were doing it, or just put a big beard on you, and that probably be close enough, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and
don't face swap Javert and Ollie for an entire tutorial. The rendering time would be but the rendering time would be horrendous.
It would be cool though, man.
It's either making all the EB-Synth keyframes or shipping it off to the deepfake thing, and then you're like rendering your tutorial for 2 weeks.
Yeah, but it'd be cool.
That would be cool. I say you replaced with Nicolas Cage.
Yeah. For those of you out there who are interested in making, video game montages for your YouTube channel or whatever, HitFilm is outstanding for doing that. And the FXhome did, obviously, as we just heard, Ollie did an entire series on how to do that. It was like a masterclass, and you can find that on the FXhome website. And of course, there's a playlist for it on their YouTube channel as well. So, but it'd be cool. Come on, that'd be great. All right, let's see. Yeah, deepfake movie. We'll just do the whole movie. That'd be cool. That'd be great. Well, Javert, tell everybody at FXhome that we said hi.
Will do.
We hope that everybody is safe and things are going well for you guys.
Thank you. You guys too.
I know that it's tough, when you guys have to split up and do your work out of your house and stuff like that. It makes it much more difficult to get things done, but I know you guys are up to the task and be able to.
Thank you.
You'll make it through. So everything will be fine. And I know that the product will continue to be improved as we go along. So, here's a question: was that Back to the Future deepfake using HitFilm?
The deepfake itself was done in the software that Tom used in the tutorial. It was edited in HitFilm.
But he put the whole thing together in HitFilm. That's right.
But man, Tom Holland looks so much like a young Michael J. Fox that the first time I watched the deepfake, I really thought it was just Robert Downey Jr. I had no idea it was Tom Holland.
Yeah, they do look very similar. I totally agree. But what a great video that was.
Well,
And,
it's also
I mean,
the deep fake is only replacing the plane of the face. It's not taking out everything down to the jawline too. So it's not completely changing the shape of Michael J. Fox or Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah, but it's still it was a great video, and even got the attention of Michael
it's
J.
just
Fox
blown up. Yeah.
and Tom Holland and Robert Downey Jr. They all actually were talking about it.
Oh, you know what? Backing up when they were saying the Dafter things on the Good Gaming montages, it looks like HitFilm Academy's doing. He's got a new effect up how to have effects in montages. So he's got a couple of game montage tutorials. Yeah, I just jumped into the playlist and checked that.
Yeah.
Wow, he's done a lot. He's done like 50.
Yeah, he's done a bunch of stuff. He's a very sharp young man.
Yeah.
He's a young man too. He's a kid. But boy, he's done some. He's doing a lot of cool stuff. You know.
Give him another 12 years, and he'll be the next Javert.
He'll be in there with Javert. Exactly. So
who has attained his long-stated goal of being the Andrew Kramer of HitFilm, effectively. You kind of have, dude. You kind of have.
Thank you.
Yeah. Boy, no kidding.
Remember that interview way back in the day?
Yeah.
That's a big compliment, and that's true. It's really true. So, all right, guys, what do you think? Should we wrap it up? 2 hours and 30 minutes later?
Yeah, that's we couldn't go too short, or people would be like, "What, did Mike shut up this week?"
What happened?
Saw Wizard of Oz one with those two with Tom Holland as Dorothy. Ooh,
that might be ugly. I haven't seen that one. That probably wasn't a HitFilm thing, I'm sure. Yeah, but HitFilm is being used by a lot of different people all over the world. So if you don't have it, you haven't tried it, and you're interested, definitely give it a shot. See what you think. Let us know how it goes, and visit us on the forums and chat away. Right? Ask any questions that you have. So, Mike, I would like to thank you for being here. You got any last-minute words you'd like to bestow upon us?
Thanks for having me again, and I'm sure I'll be on again at some point in the future. And I hope I let Javert get a word in edgewise.
Well, thank you for being here, Javert, and thank you also for being here. Any last-minute words?
Thanks for having me as well. HitFilm Express is at the link that was sent earlier, and check out the sale, 30% off store-wide, FXhome.com/store.
Absolutely, and I agree. FXhome.com/store. Thank you both, gentlemen, for being here. How long does the sale go on, Javert? I forget.
April 7th.
April 7th. So you got a week and a half or so?
Yeah.
8-10 days, something like that. So check it out, and if you have any questions, absolutely let us know. Javert, pass on congrats to the whole team for us, and for what we are sure will be 5+ million users.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, and we will look forward to seeing everybody next time.